Hello everybody, welcome back to the Trackmania World Tour MEA Regional number 2, day number 2 as well. Hopefully you've had a great day so far and we're gonna have a wondrous day ahead of us with me, your host Queedy once again, and the man who's definitely on point today. It is Altruism. How are you doing today?
Man, who's definitely on point. I feel like there's something veiled in there somewhere, but we are here. We got to see the beginnings of the second regional yesterday, and now we get to bring it all to a close. We get to see the other teams that weren't available yesterday, Molotov and Foot, having their buys yesterday, and they're obviously the ones that are coming out as the favorites today. We're going to go all the way through to the grand finals. I'm excited for this. Yesterday was fun. Today is going to be even better.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of a taste, like we said yesterday, an appetizer to start us up for the MEA, but today we're gonna go for the full gauntlet. We have 5 sets of matches today, at least 5 matches to cast today, so it's gonna be a long haul today. But I think it's worth it, you know. Yesterday we just had 1 round, but today we get all of the main course today delivered to us, and then we have the entire thing, the finals as well. And of course, for those who don't know, we will start the match off with Molotov Gaming versus Split Academy. We will get into the game once they do also start the matches. But for now, we get a bit of time to get into it, to talk about yesterday. Of course, we saw a pretty one-sided match from Split Academy, who looked really good, I must admit. Like, I know, of course, they had Southern Speedsters as their opponent, but when we take them out of that loop, I don't see many mistakes they really made. They had, of course, those few rounds, of course, maybe later maps, maybe not so trained or prepared, but look good to me.
Yeah, in general. And I mean, this is the Middle Eastern team that we're expecting to come up and really start challenging some of these top teams. Southern Speedsters was currently sitting at around that 3rd spot and is arguably the best team in South Africa. So the fact that we could see Split Academy managing to come up, managing to do so well, and take it so convincingly. I mean, 4-0 is a dominant performance, regardless of what teams you're talking about. It shows a big difference between them. And like you said, there weren't a lot of mistakes throughout it. You know, there's always room for refinement. But in general, we didn't see both players ever dropping out of a round. We didn't see anyone really struggling with a particular obstacle. Some people took a little bit of time to warm up, of course. But Benoxy there at the beginning on Airwalk, for example, was took two or three attempts to get through the platforms. But in general, they have definitely put in the work on every single one of these maps.
Yeah, but they do have now a bit, I would say, a lot stronger adversary this time. Molotov Gaming, of course, the team that has been the second place team in every regional. Of course, you've had Foot Esports, which we'll most likely see later to come, unless something miraculous happens. Probably 1 in a millionth chance that Foot Esports don't get into the grand final. But you know, I mean, people have won even more miraculous things through lottery. So, but for now at least we see Molotov Gaming as well. We do have to wait and see if anything. As far as I understand at the moment, the server at least seems to be. At least when I'm looking at the server, nothing. It doesn't look at least correct on some end, so maybe admins need to get on that as well. As at the moment, picks and bans had a bit of an issue, because I saw when I was on the server that the picks and bans just popped up for a second, everything was randomly picked, and here we go. So, so I had a little bit of a sneak peek. I was already early bird on the server, so maybe need to restart it quick. But we will jump into it once the pick and ban start. But I'm excited, you know, we've split Academy so well. Maybe they can give Molotov Gaming a run for their money.
I think that's their job, right? I think that's what their goal is for this weekend. Is they've already managed to secure themselves up that I don't want to say secured themselves the top 3, but they've beaten the previous top 3. Means that now it's time to set the sights on who the next target is. You know, you always want to improve up the rankings and make MEA a region that can be taken very seriously internationally. So the fact that they did 4-0 yesterday means that they've got up to a certain level. I think, like you said, though, Molotov is going to be a different tier above them. And the closest Split Academy can get to them, the better. You know, even if they don't win an out today, if they can take 2 or 3 rounds off of their opponents, you know, make every one of their map picks at least very, very tight, that'll be a very good start for them. We've got 1 more regional to come. And so at least getting that little bit of mental break and seeing how far there is still to go that would be amazing. But if they could take it off Molotov today, I think it's going to shake up this region completely.
Yeah, it's pretty much the case. Will Molotov Gaming be on fire, or will Split Academy split that team apart? It's very hard to know where we will go today. Of course, I know from the previous regional, Molotov did face up against, well, at then Let Us Cook, who are now Split Academy, for those who don't know. Though that team, they did beat them in the upper bracket final, I believe, was 4-1 was the score. But I don't, because at the time I didn't watch the full match, so I don't know what the level was for Split Academy. It's so, it's sometimes confusing to say when I have to speak that when the team was Let Us Cook and now they're Split Academy. Do I say Split Academy or do I say Let Us Cook? But let's say Split Academy, so just to ease the mind. But who knows where we will go from there. But I'm interested to see. I would love, of course, a 7-map affair, but you never know. Maybe Molotov Gaming are just cooking and 4-0 on the board and done dusted. We'll move on.
I mean, Molotov obviously would love to come in and hit that really nice and hard, get a definitive victory, because they, of course, have got their own goals for the weekend. They need to start challenging out Foot, and they haven't really been able to for the entirety of the first regional. Last or 2 weekends ago, I think it was. And this is, of course, stage 2. The whole of stage 1, it was Foot Esports. So Molotov really want to refine their own game plans and not wanting to really concentrate on the people behind them. They've got to look at what the track in front of them looks like. And so far, they've been able to do that. I mean, I look at their regional number 1. They took out Let Us Cook 4-0 in the lower bracket finals. And I think anything less than that today will be Molotov starting to worry. But anything that Let Us Cook can really narrow that gap, 4-2, 4-3 would be huge for them. So it's an interesting story between the two teams. And I think they're going to have very different ideas of what a good result for today would be.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, of course, at the moment we're doing episode number 2 of Trackmania World Tour podcast. If you know, episode 1 was done yesterday by Challenger League during a match. But no, we are just currently waiting for the server to set up. For your information, there was an issue with the pick and ban phase going through too early, and there was some issues with the overlay not working properly because of that as well. So we're just waiting for the server to be restarted, and then we can get back into the match. But yeah, so currently we gotta do the unofficial Trackmania World Tour podcast episode number 2 for now. So I don't have chat open at the moment because of course I have so many screens at the moment open that I would have to put chat in such a small window that I probably would need binoculars just to read them. But either way, I'm sure chat is having fun. I'm sure they're looking forward to the matches as well.
Bring it up on your phone on the side or something like that.
Yeah, but the phone is there. The phone is my camera. Hey, I gotta take
there we go. So
logistical problems. Can anybody? I need a second phone. Actually, I do have one, but I haven't turned it on in a while. Maybe I should do that. But or maybe invest in another monitor, a third one. Why not? Just to have
chat
Twitch chat on one
to the
major screen. Yeah, let's Twitch chat on one monitor.
I mean, that's where we get all of our very useful information. Twitch chat knows more than anyone else around here. So we're relying on you guys to correct us whenever we get things wrong. But
we have Pickpad. Pickpad, I think, has started, so we can actually go into the match. So World Tour podcast is over. We are now back into the match, and we can actually see Pick and Ban face. So maybe next time we'll get episode number 3.
All right, running through this. Yesterday we did see, of course, the Split Academy selecting Off-Road and Control as their first 2 maps. Those were the only ones we managed to get through, and they did very well on those. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them coming out here today. We see Control being the first, Vortex, being the first map to be picked, and no bans coming out of those ones we saw yesterday. Off-Road and Control, obviously, still up for grabs.
Yeah, and definitely a bit of a homework has to be done as well. Molotov Gaming, Off-Road, as you said, a pick they did yesterday, and they seem to be sticking with it as well. Molotov Gaming, of course, when you go up against these teams as well that are maybe on paper or are not faster than you as well, then you sometimes gotta think, okay, maybe we cut our losses here. We know we're not gonna beat them there, but we damn well are gonna do well on our maps, and we might take it even further than the other team might expect. So it's definitely something to think about. I always wonder, it's sometimes maybe not so much talked about in pick and bans, that you might just have to sacrifice a map in order, take a step back to move 2 steps forward. The mentality, I guess.
We do see Off-Road coming out as the first pick by our red team. Our red team, of course, being Split Academy here. And what's interesting is that they picked Off-Road and Control yesterday. Control actually being picked up by Molotov. So Molotov obviously going to be very comfortable there. And that should be a very close contest. And then Grip being our fourth map. We do get to see Frosty coming up as map number 5 there, Kribi. Yep. And you were very excited to see those 360 spins at the end.
I mean, yesterday we saw the first ever match on Challenger League on Frosty. Like, that was the most hype thing ever. And to see it also being played in well, it is map 5. We do need, each team to at least win one map, to get there. But it is there. There's a chance of it happening, so everybody can quickly note it down what the picks and bans were, just to make sure that it is map number 5. And now the important part is that we actually get to that point, and maybe map 7. Who knows? Everything is there for the writing. With Split Academy, I'm really hoping that they can get that run going as they did yesterday as well. Maybe we have like a false perception of them looking exceptional because Southern Speedsters didn't have the best time yesterday. But who knows? Molotov Gaming maybe don't start off hot as well. And we could see maybe some interesting things happening.
I mean, it just has to be one map turning in the favor here of Split Academy. That's all we need to get to see Frosty. True. And I haven't got to see it on a big stage yet. So very excited to go for it. But our first one's going to be some pretty standard maps, Vortex to start us off. This is one we didn't get to see yesterday, but of course, one that these teams will know well, knowing the directions of the spinners. I certainly wouldn't expect anyone to be coming and being caught surprised by that. And then Off-Road and Control and Grip. Those are 3 maps that I'm really starting to see quite often in this region.
Yeah, we do have 3 players on the server, so we might need to wait a moment for one of the players to come back in. I'm gonna wait for the pause. I hope it, well, I would assume it's a bit of a graphical issue here, but otherwise, or it's just that he's hiding in there, but it does seem to be a pause, so we will quickly go back to our point of view. Maybe episode number 3 is sooner than you might have expected. And what would be Trackmania World Tour without a minor technical issue? But at the moment, it seems that there was a game crash. So quickly we put it up again. If he has it on an SSD, it's probably like 10 seconds anyway. So should be fine.
Definitely coming in here. I'm very interested as to how you feel about these maps and these players. I mean, of course, Ignite's going to be coming back in, and we did get to see him on broadcast 2 weeks ago. Yep. And he and Huzo were doing very well. Again, one of those teams that both plays up and pushing that boundary of what they want to really get out of each of these maps. No one really defaulting into that spearheading role, while the other one takes up that more conscientious second place. And Benoxy and Thomas, also a very similar playstyle between the two of them. Benoxy did struggle on a couple of the maps, but otherwise, they looked really strong. What I didn't see them doing was really trying to eke out everything. We talked about it yesterday where the Southern Speedsters maybe not running at their full 100%. And that does take off a lot of the pressure. It doesn't really force your opponents to be able to play the map at its 100% best. Yeah. So I'm interested to see how it's going to really change how they play style. We're going to see more mistakes coming out from this Split Academy side as they're going to be pushed, because you can be sure Molotov Gaming is a team that is going to make you bring everything on the day to the track.
Yeah, and as you can see on your screens already, Molotov Gaming versus Split Academy, the teams are underway. And as to answer your question as well, yeah, I remember, of course, Molotov Gaming from the previous stage, and they always are fast. Of course, they were never quite as fast as Foot Esports, but they definitely, when they faced up against everybody else, they had a pretty comfortable time going through them. As we see at the moment, Thomas does fall a bit behind, but Benoxy is up there with the two Molotov Gaming players, even having a bit of a gap. So currently, at least looking good, but maybe the line from Benoxy a bit awkward. So now he does give the ace opportunity for Molotov.
Yeah, unfortunately, Thomas did not do very well coming onto the first of our tubes and the spinners. Benoxy is still at least managing to go through there, but both of these players from Split Academy really struggling on the tube so far. That means that we are going to see an ace for the first round here for Molotov Gaming. First map, the first warm-up a little bit. Thomas still valiantly trying to fight his way out through this, but the two of them have some work to do.
Yeah, definitely the case. But of course, it is their the first map pick of Molotov Gaming, so you would assume at least we have. At least I don't remember if Split Academy played Vortex in the first regional. But if they are not willing to pick it as one of their first maps, then it's definitely not a map that they might be the most comfortable with. So you would expect at least for Molotov Gaming to have a bit of a nicer start as well. But when we get to the Split Academy picks, that's where it might get hot and spicy.
Binox is already struggling at the beginning of this map, just that big jump and turnaround, causing some problems. And this is where we saw the differentiating factor coming out from Molotov previously. It's a better run, and Huzo actually going to take a little bit of a slower exit to the bobsleigh. Ignite and Binoxi both managing to, or at least Thomas and Binoxi both managing to navigate our first pipe this time with a lot better pressure on Ignite. Ignite, however, though, still coming up in first place, and Huzo even starting to challenge for that third place.
Yeah, and they're getting closer. Binoxi has to wiggle a lot more. Thomas hits the corner, and with Huso's overtake, it will be another ace for Molotov Gaming. It was looking also good for a draw, but just a bit, you know, that always these pipes, the mentality of these pipes is the faster you go through this, actually the easier it is. But you still are anxious, you know. You don't want to be lifted off to either side. So a little input there, adjustment there, and all of a sudden, then there's the spinners that are there. Well, they're not spinning, but the spinning blocks that are still. I don't even how would you call them? If a spinning block is not spinning, is it just a block? Or it's a block that looks like a spinning block. It's, you know, the life questions here, and may you ponder in chat. But Molotov Gaming, good start still. Huso did have a bit of a slower one, but overall looking pretty good for them.
Well, that's the scary thing, right? Is that Huzo didn't have the perfect run through those bobsleighs and still managed to make up that space. It's going to take more than just a single moment's weakness for a Split Academy to start challenging Molotov. And right now, they've got a very good chance. Ignite out early in this round, and he's going to have to do some work. He's been leading the charge out of all four of these players the whole way through. Binoxi and Thomas really coming through there. Thomas dropping down quite far as well, so it's going to be between him and Ignite. Ignite managing to take it back. Binoxi's challenging for this first place right now, but he's still very far behind. 7/10, 8/10 make it now on this next split as we run to the end. So it is going to be at least 1 point coming up there for Split Academy, but still giving off the 2 points to Huzo.
Yeah, that is indeed so. Of course, Huso goes for a bit of a trickster as well. He hits the corner block next to the finish to just go for a quick flip as well. But yes, it is of course the case where I immediately started praising how Molotov Gaming are doing, and then Ignite has a moment lapse of judgment for checkpoints. The usual, praise a team and immediately they show you how wrong you are. But that's something we cannot do anything about. But it's looking good for Molotov Gaming. Ignite, Huso both putting the pace up, and Split Academy, they have been in the mix, but it's just been enough of a pace difference that Molotov Gaming have been having a good, comfortable time here. And it seems that this round, with the track point on the line, is looking to be a similar story.
Yeah, 100%. It seems like from the beginning of every single one of these maps, as we see Thomas taking a drop out. Sorry, that was Binoxi taking a rough turn into the bobsleigh. But Molotov Gaming have trained this map, and you can see it. The height that they're getting on that first jump is so low that they're able to engage their accelerator almost instantly out of it. And that differentiating factor has been constant throughout this entire map. I mean, even in this round, all that Molotov Gaming players have had to do is just not make a big mistake from that moment onwards. They managed to clinch it out within 0.04 of a second between the two of them, and certainly a big gap between them and Split Academy in our first round.
Yeah, that's a good comfort win to start them off. And the one thing, of course, about this map that I didn't touch upon, it is that once you do get to the identity, if nobody really crashes, there's not really a way to catch up on this identity. So once they go into it, you really have to hope that somebody makes a mistake there. But that map aside, it is 11-1 for Molotov Gaming on the first map with their first track point as well. So it's first track point, 11-1, all ones aside. We move on to track number 2, which is Split Academies, and they looked quite, as we said, yes, today as well looked pretty phenomenal. Well, I say phenomenal. I say they look amazing when they were playing against Southern Speedsters. Can they do that again against Molotov? That's the question.
Yeah, 100%. Yesterday, off-road was great for them. They were able to navigate those trees. And interestingly enough, we did see Molotov trying to navigate this off-road map previously on our regional #1. There were definitely opportunities. There were definitely moments when Huzo and Ignite were not getting it 100% right. So maybe an opportunity for weakness that Split Academy can start exploiting now, and maybe an opportunity for us, my friends, to be able to get to see Frosty as map #5. But round #1 so far, clean sailing for Molotov Gaming as we go through about halfway through this track onto the long ice slide.
Yeah, your timing was very impeccable, as you said. The clean driving as Ignite hits the pole. The usual, you know, the classic, the caster thing to do. It's like praise and immediate pole. But it's looking at the moment to be a draw to start us off, unless Huso has a bit of a moment in the end, which he doesn't. It is Benoxy has a bit of a moment. And he's really struggling to go through the forest as Ignite comes through and gets the victory. Yeah, it's the one thing about this off-road identity is that if your jump into it is not correct, it's very hard to get anything. You have to completely slow down, go through the checkpoint. Hopefully you didn't hit a tree beforehand or get the checkpoint. So yeah, it's quite a rough one if you do get the entry wrong there.
So difficult. Sometimes it's worth slowing down just that little bit to be able to recover. But when your opponents are pushing you this much, it really does come down to anyone can give it up at any stage, especially how close that identity is to the very end of the map. You really can be thinking that you've got it all in the bag, and then it comes out. Meanwhile, right now, Benoxy managing to come in first place. That's a good start. Huzo dropping off very early. He is so far back. There is, of course, the chance for them to come back, but Split Academy, a rare opportunity to get this ace. They've got it by a decent margin. Thomas and Ignite fighting it out in the middle of the field, but Noxy sailing through at the end. Of course, it's probably going to crash right now as I say that, going through the identity.
It's fine, don't worry about it. I'll counter jinx you with that one. They'll get the ace, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. I got you, Holters. So it is an ace for Split Academy. A bit of a spinning round there, you know, a bit in there. Ignite and Huso had a bit of struggle during that segment right before the ice. They hit the poles and hit actually the section going up to that part. So it allowed for Thomas to come through. So Split Academy on their own map. Maybe the first round didn't look amazing, and the second round was capitalizing on the mistakes. But you know, you take what you can. You know, you don't say no to a gifted horse if it's on free. But then again, you know, you still have to make it count when it does come around.
There we go, right? This is the best opportunity so far that Split Academy has had. But they're going to have to work the whole way. We see already Molotov back into first and second in the beginning of the ice slide here. It would be nice for Split Academy if they can keep going. And a good fight still in the mix there by Thomas. Benoxy much further behind as we head towards the tree section. Of course, can change everything in an instant. Ignite and Huzo have navigated this well so far. Both managing to get through the trees, and that's it. 100%. It is another ace coming out from Molotov. Back and forth this map goes.
Yeah, it shows that, as we said when we started talking about the match beforehand, the Split Academy has chances on their own maps, but Molotov Gaming in general is a very fast team. And they have definitely put in the practice on all the maps. Maybe not, of course, as much as on the maps that they most like, of course. You definitely want to make sure that the map picks you do choose are the ones that come in clean sailing, but you can definitely see that Split Academy are being put through the paces a lot more than they did yesterday, and it's definitely important as Huso does touch the wall, makes the jump, so I don't know if he has the speed to make this. Yeah, I don't know anything, I'm not the driver, so clearly he can still make it, but Ignite is the one leading, so, but Benoxy touches the inside there and has to respawn, so it's now up to Thomas to take Ignite in the end.
Yeah, 100%. Huzo was struggling to regain that the whole way, but a gift comes out in the form of Benoxy. As we see the fight between Ignite and Thomas, both of them at full pace, and they navigated beautifully. Ignite still managing to come in 2/10 ahead. It means that Molotov going to be extending their lead just a little bit more.
Wicked flip in the end as well for Banoxi to. I don't know if maybe Twiggy needs to get on regionals as well. There's a lot of wicked stuff that happens there. I know he's doing a wicked leaderboard. Maybe he needs to get on some regionals as well, you know. Maybe people also clip as well. If you see something cool, clip it, you know. It's good to see. Maybe there's some cool stuff, and you never know. Maybe you end up on a Trackmania esports channel as a clip as well, and it gets a lot of views, and you feel proud of yourself, you know. You contributed to the Trackmania community. But for now, at least, Benoxi's not really contributing to the fact that Molotov Gaming are looking to close this map out with an ace.
Yeah, 100%. Not just for the drivers here, this MEA Regional, it's also for you guys. But right now, it has to be for Split Academy. This is the best opportunity they've had so far, just being map number 2. That's not a lot, but they had a great chance. They took an early lead. They managed to look strong on this. They saw some weakness out of Molotov. But right now, Tom is going to have to win it out here. He manages to take past one. Huzo bouncing through the beginning. Ignite's still going to be able to take position number 1, but Thomas at least stops and denies the ace.
Yeah, that is a good round. Of course, ideally, he would have loved that first position. That would have been a lot better. It would have put them at 8-7. But 8-6, well, you gotta take what you can. And still possibilities here, because 2 points if you get a draw in or a victory, and then it can become very close. But definitely looking very hot and spicy at the moment as well. Molotov Gaming at least should be getting some hot gameplay in, but we'll have to see. Definitely the pressure is on both teams, because Molotov Gaming were looking very comfortable in the end, but those little mistakes allowed to drop a lot of points. So if Split Academy can smell blood in the water, it is possible, but now the gap is even bigger than before.
Oh, Thomas checking that inside edge there. Just cost him his first position. He's now really far off the pace. He's going to struggle. This is where Huzo had lost a lot of time in the previous round. Thomas still into the ice. No one managing to slide out, or at least no one having to slide out there and respawn still. Huzo and Ignite going forward. Thomas has to try and respawn there, and this might be everything that Molotov needs to be able to win it out. It is going to be. They'll pick up the ace just to clinch off map number 2. And Molotov, even on the pick of Split Academy, come out victorious.
Yeah, but this is where But this is a good point to make as well. Once you are being pushed on the maps that you're comfortable on, then it's sort of a case where you do have to push yourself even more than you might expect. And it might become a case in point where we say that, of course, the usual. You try to go faster, you try to push every edge even more, but that can also lead to more risk, and sometimes it can produce some rounds where you might make more mistakes than you intend to. Of course, for Split Academy, it would have been great to pick up the map pick they first did, but now they have to go on Control, and you mentioned before, Control was a map they actually picked themselves, so I'm interested to see how Molotov do on this against Split.
Yeah. It's obviously somewhere that Split Academy is going to be comfortable on, but the fact that this is Molotov's pick means that Molotov obviously feels very good, and Benoxi actually going to take a very hard check at the very beginning, and that puts him out of our first lap around here. Ignite, Huzo, Thomas, all still neck and neck as we go through. And we get to our first little interesting part, and this is going to be a big differentiating factor, whether Molotov can hold these slopes and these changes in verticality that we saw so much yesterday. In their own stead.
Yeah, I know yesterday somebody in the chat, I don't remember who it was, but said when I was saying the up, down, right thing, and somebody said I was saying, oh, Huso hits the corner there. I'm not even able to finish my sentence, but somebody said that I'm giving them a GTA San Andreas cheat code or something like that. But it definitely, that doesn't work here in this game. This is Trackmania, and the only cheat code is your own hands, so you gotta make it count. Your own inputs is what matters, and so far Ignite still holds on to first, and Benoxi comes in third. So even with that early start, the mistake by Benoxi, he's able to hold on till the end, make use of the mistake that Huso made, and keeps us to a draw. So this match maybe looked at first that it might be going Molotov's way. No. Don't call it too early. We still have Split Academy going for the dub here. It's not over until it's over.
I know you guys are cheering as much for Split Academy to be able to take at least one round, just so we get to see Frosty as we are. And this could be interesting. Huzo definitely struggling on a couple of places, and that's the big differentiating factor about Control, is that there were so many options for little mistakes. It's not just the straight driving, it's these changes in curves, these cambers that can prove so difficult. And already Huzo struggling to manage to stay up there. He's just on the tail of Thomas, but Benoxy and Ignite being the ones to fight it out in our front.
Yeah, and Ignite looking pretty good, but gets a bit of a... I do believe he did clip the corner just a little bit as he did slow down, allowing Split Academy to go into really good lead at the moment. Absolutely sending it. They're a second in front, and Huzo does have a bobsleigh moment, so Bob not happy today with, but Thomas did clip as well, so again, but he has now little speed. I don't know if he can actually make this.
Oh, Ignite!
Oh, but Ignite also misses, has to respawn, so now it allows for... Oh, but Thomas is upside down and has to respawn as well! So it means that after everything is said and done, it is Molotov Gaming clutching in a draw. Oh no, that's a feels bad moment for Thomas. He was there for the ace, but his second attempt didn't go so well. I had to respawn again. Oh no, that's a feels bad moment right there.
Well, clearly we have a competition on our hands here between these two teams that's going to come down. And maybe that's just a sign that each of these teams pushing themselves a little bit too hard. That last jump, notoriously difficult off the very interestingly shaped cone ramp. But I enjoy seeing it, and when it goes right, it goes so right. But when it goes wrong, you can tell almost instantly. You mentioned yesterday that sometimes into those jumps, you only tell very late into it. And it is one of those that you can tell instantly if it goes very wrong. But sometimes just not enough to be able to carry you through there. As we go into our bobsleigh, Ignite taking a beautiful line out of there. It comes out with pace. He's got Benoxy on his tail, though. It means that he's not going to be right at the front. Huzo is still the one to struggle the most in Control, leaving it back. And Thomas, a little bit... Oh, sorry, Benoxy being the one to check out a little bit. Still, we go into the finals. And Ignite struggles. Thomas struggles just as much. Benoxy going to have to try and clinch us out there. He's dropped short again. And there's still a chance for Huzo to be able to clutch out this. It is going to be the draw. Sorry, not the draw. The draw denied by Huzo coming in third.
Yeah, there was a moment. He had a similar moment to Thomas, but he was able to land upright, hit the tree, and then just casually, just a bit of a 3-point turn, casually reverse back into the finish and get the victory for Molotov Gaming. Oh, but we see a mistake by Huzo. Huzo not having a fun time on this map, clearly. I know that Molotov Gaming picked this map, but maybe not really feeling it today. But for now, at least, it does put Ignite in a position where he does have to deny a possible, maybe a victory or even a counter ace here, which would put Split Academy either equal with Molotov Gaming or ahead, actually.
Yep, I'm really liking this really tight fight between the two of them, and there's so much pressure on Ignite. He has not been flawless throughout this, so anytime there's a mistake, and they're not a great landing, gives up so much speed. Benoxy and Thomas managing to come past. There's only one place that Ignite can really hope to be able to take this back, and it's going to be our final jump. Once more, Ignite's just behind Thomas. He's managed to overtake Benoxy. He and Thomas, he sneaks in through it and comes in first.
Oh, again denied. Oh. Ignite takes the fire away from Split Academy, takes all those points, looking to be an ace, and Ignite is like, and that is a no right there. I'll take that first position, thank you very much. He definitely got it a lot cleaner, as Thomas and Benoxy had a really rough landing into that before that finish cone, finish landing, I guess I would say. So it allowed for Ignite to overtake both of them. So again, plenty of opportunities for Split Academy to take. It's been now 2 aces that it could have been, but it has been either a draw or a victory.
And in this one, Huzo being the one to lead the pack. He's struggled on a lot of this so far, but he's going to be happy to make a good contribution for Molotov Gaming. So far, it's been all up to the Ignite. And Huzo still manages to hold it. He's got Ignite. So Ignite's checking on the inside edge, gives it up to Benoxy. Benoxy with a beautiful landing, carries that momentum to go all the way through. And he's got 1 jump left to go. Thomas still quite far back. Thomas going to have to hope someone messes up here from Molotov, but it doesn't look like it. Benoxy takes first. We're going to see a draw going with Benoxy in first place. A little bit of a change around.
Yeah, but it is looking... it's constant back and forth. It's like both teams really want to ace the other team, but then the identity is like, come on, we need some screen time here. Come on, somebody get a mistake. Oh, good, you did it. We get another draw in. So yeah, the identity today is not really being a blissful one, at least. It's not really allowing any aces to come through. It's just one draws at this point, and we definitely a longer match ahead of us. But again, Molotov Gaming are in an ace position. Ignite does have a comfortable lead, but still, it's what we've seen. It's pretty much anybody's game.
Yeah, a comfortable lead at this stage is only one where your opponent is 20 seconds back behind you, it seems, because it really can be challenging to come through. Everyone out of the ice quite nicely there. Thomas with a little bit more speed than anyone else, or at least more than Huzo. Ignite still really blazing the trail in the front line. The fight between Huzo and Thomas in midfield to come out could all be determined. Yeah, the jumper's there. Huzo looks like he's going a bit far. And in fact, he is going to drop all the way to 4th place. One more split, one more draw on the board as Molotov put themselves in an ace territory for the victory.
Yeah, it's basically on this map is do an ace or draw 25, and clearly everybody chose to do draw 25 because we are at the moment going to that distance that we might be getting some few draws. But again, if anything is to look positive for Molotov Gaming, it's working for them. They would gladly just take 3 draws in a row and be like, yeah, we're fine, we'll just take it, it's fine. For us, because Split Academy need to win a round or get at least a round in where they get more points than Molotov. Otherwise, I mean, Molotov Gaming, sure, it's draws, but that's more than enough.
And that's the thing, right? Molotov Gaming have looked more powerful in every single one of these matches, at least one of them. And even if Ignite's the only one alive, or at least in the contention, he's been doing so well, and he's just that half a second above anyone else on the pitch. And it means that it's making it so difficult for Split Academy to try and secure that. We've got an ace potentially leading up now. Ignite and Huzo entering the final jump.
Oh, but Benoxy is getting a lower jump, but not enough as they finally put the nail in the coffin. They finally took the ace as the option. Track point 10-6, and what looked so close. There were so many rounds where it could have gone Split Academy's way. It still was Molotov Gaming who end up taking that track point. And now we are going on to the next map as well. It will be Split Academy's pick, but if we want Frosty, Split Academy have to take this map. Otherwise, we will be seeing a 4-0 fair. But I will say, I'm going to say it if, and hypothetically, if it is a 4-0, then we must admit it has been a much closer affair than the scoreline might leave you to believe.
Yeah, 100%. That 4-0 does not show. And considering yesterday we also had a 4-0, that was sitting at the point of the losing team didn't manage to pick up more than 3 points in any map. The fact that Split Academy has been so close, even on the maps where they've been aced, it has been very close. They've been right on the tail. Fortunately, now it's their map pick. It means that they've got to get it right here if they want to keep us going, and we want them to keep it going through the plastic section. Now, a little bit of a delay from Benoxy here, and Tom is going to be joining him, watching Ignite and Huzo take that first lead.
Yeah, this is of course a map that doesn't really get you with too many mistakes. It is, once you get into the identity, it is more who's got the balls to push the accelerator more than the other, but Tmwt gets a really rough entry, which allows now Molotov Gaming to very gradually and comfortably just ghost their way around the corner and get to the finish line, and that's what she wrote. It is an ace to start off for Molotov Gaming, and it is looking to be like it will be a 4-0 affair, but again, it is only the first round, and we've seen pretty good stuff from Split Academy. They might not start off hot, but they can definitely get into this.
It's like you say, this doesn't have a lot of very difficult sections, parts that you're going to lose it out completely. You might lose a little bit of pace here and there. And when it comes to Molotov Gaming, they've just looked stronger in any one of the neutral sections of a track where it just comes down to pure technique and getting those lines right. Molotov being able to come out of almost every single one of them on any of the maps that we've seen with just that extra 5% difference in speed. And I mean, that's been carrying them the whole way. And if they can carry that here into grip, then we're going to see once more a 4-0 differential between the two teams. Split Academy has to make work, and when you've already got that lead into the identity, it makes life so much easier for Molotov, and means Split Academy has to risk everything. We're looking like there could be a draw here. Huzo going down very near the entrance, and he's been within sight lines, but certainly not within the points.
Yeah, Ignite did have a bit of a moment. He had to go for the lower finish, which might have allowed Benoxy and Thomas to actually overtake there, but he was just, again, what we just said, enough ahead that even getting that lower finish was enough to secure first position. And Ignite overall has been, I would say, like the MVP of the match. Definitely the consistent player, constantly ahead, keeping the team alive. Of course, Huso, when it has mattered, Huso has brought it in. But usually Ignite has been first and just bringing in the points. And I mean, 4-1 at the moment. And again, it only benefits Molotov. The draws can come in, but at the end of the day, Split Academy would love an ace to just get it to even.
Yeah, unfortunately, Benoxy dropping a little bit further behind. He did not have a good run through the water there, and he's going to have to try and push as much as possible. He checks on the inside. It gives him a little bit of a wobble, but Tom is managing to hold that first position all the way till the very end right now. We do see Huzo going out in a very difficult check and gives Benoxy that opportunity to come back.
Yeah, well, this is the part where Grip get excited. When you are at the end and you know that the other person is right next to you, then you feel like, okay, I need to press the accelerator a bit more, I need to turn in a bit earlier, and then Huso immediately tries to go for the risk, get in a line as fast as possible, but hits this pillar on the inside. And we have, of course, information from the production as well that Foot Esports have won against the CI in the other match, so that will be at least the result for that one. Not a surprising result, but of course we don't know what the details of that match were. Maybe it was a 10-9 affair all the way around. We can only imagine. But either way, Molotov Gaming are being put through the paces. This is a pretty close round.
Yeah, Huzo once more into that fourth position and comes down here. There's, no, Benoxy off completely. That is a horrific moment for him. And this is the balance, that very fine knife's edge that you got to run. Thomas still going to be able to get that first position and secure the draw. But that really tight edge between going off the right-hand side and checking those pillars on the inside, getting a little bit too fast and drifting out, or going too slowly and letting someone overlap you. It is once more a draw. Molotov going to be content with that.
Yeah, it's the plan. El plan is working. Molotov Gaming just been like, well, we're 2 points ahead. And they're just asking Split Academy interviewing, so what are you going to do now? We're 2 points ahead. You got to push, so come on. Are you going to do something? We are getting the draws in. That's going to work for us. So we definitely putting the alert on Split Academy, and with Benoxy having another touch of the checkpoint, it puts the pressure on Domers now, because if he allows Molotov Gaming to get the ace, I mean, that is a rough position. It put the scoreline 9-4. So everything to push for Tomers. At this point, with the scoreline you are at, you sort of gotta send it, because you cannot really allow anything. And Tomers probably is listening, because he's really going for it. It is a close affair. Ignite, who's both trying to push, but Tomers goes a bit wide. Who will get on in line? Right there, Tomers goes a bit too wide. I think he hesitated just for a split second. And it allows for a victory for Molotov Gaming. Oh, it could have been a good round for Thomas to hold on, but just a hint of hesitation right there in the end.
And Thomas has been driving so well throughout it. It did look good. He's been struggling now. He's taken a very bad start to this round, and it's going to have to be up to Benoxy. Benoxy going to have to do everything, not just being able to place, but getting that first position is all it's going to take. And not a lot of other opportunities to hope for that Molotov's going to mess up. This could be the end of the 4-0 sweep. But for Molotov Gaming, and Huzo Ignite looking very comfortable in the beginning. And they've got at least enough space behind them that they don't even have to try and push through the identity. They can take this as slow as they want.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Benoxy needs first. Otherwise, it is game over for Split Academy. So for now, you can see Benoxy is getting closer, but Huzo Ignite acknowledged that Ignite having a bit of a moment, but it is not enough. Huzo is there. 1 out of 2 gets it done, and it is a GG for Molotov Gaming. well done for them. I mean, it was a close affair still. I will say some of the maps could have gone either way, so definitely not something to judge. But overall, I will say Molotov Gaming looking good. Some shakiness then and there, but Split Academy definitely, maybe go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, so this did go well, maybe this didn't go so well, but I feel like there are more positives than negatives for Split Academy, even with a 4-0 there.
Yeah, 100%. We were looking at how many matches could they take off Molotov Gaming. Unfortunately, not being able to come up with a single track, but every one of the ones that they did do well on, besides Vortex at the beginning, 11-1 is a bit of a hammering. But the rest of them, they managed to pick up at least 6 points. Or actually, they did pick up 6 points on every single one of the other maps. And I think that that's a good sign. Being able to force Molotov into so many draws. It was just the 1 or 2 laps where they got a really bad jump, a really bad landing, went off the edge very slightly. That was enough to give away the ace, and those aces making the big difference between the two teams. And Molotov were just able to keep that consistent pressure. Both of their players, and led especially by Ignite, were looking strong. They were looking fast through every one of the non-mistake defining sections, I believe.
Yeah, then that will be the case. But of course, we will be going on a quick break. But after that, we will be seeing the upper bracket final between Foot Esports and Molotov Gaming. So don't go too far. Maybe grab a drink as well. Keep yourself hydrated. I've been doing so while we have been casting, so very important that. So don't go far. We'll be back in just a minute. Hello, you lovely people. Hopefully I didn't catch you off guard there. Hopefully you're back on time as we are getting ready for our upper bracket match as well. And if there was anything to see by Molotov Gaming, at least looking pretty good, but definitely being put through the paces on some of the maps on Spirit Academy. So for the esports, of course, we know the big Goliath in the region is looking. I think they are looking pretty comfortable on this match ball. But usually Molotov Gaming still give them a hard time no matter what. But it does tend to go in the favor of one of the teams usually.
I mean, this is a tale that's been dominating this region for the entirety of the region, basically. For this entire World Tour, it has always been Foot versus Molotov up in that upper bracket finals, and Foot convincingly taking it, normally in about a 4-1 fashion. I think there's been a 4-0 between the two of them. But that is what we've always expected. Molotov, certainly we saw in that last round, very good through the neutral, but has some places where they could definitely practice certain maps a little bit more, not being able to hit those every single time. Foot, though, from what we've seen constantly, whether it's in this World Tour or in their normal matches against in any competition, really, they practice these maps. They know these maps, and they have started to refine it down to the 100th or 1000th of a second in most of the cases. And so it's going to be interesting. Molotov always looking to usurp that big titan at the very top, but so far not even close in any of their encounters.
Yeah, but what is this on my screen? I see a Frosty ban. What is this?
Yes.
Hey, what is this?
Come on, guys.
Hey, oi. Bire, Birdie, why is there a Frosty ban on my screen here? Well, either way, it's nothing to say much. Of course, Birdie and Chemku are the leading teams. I don't, as I said when we were talking in between, I don't remember the exact picks and bans from the previous region, as I don't have my Noten with me right now. But at least for now, we see Pull and Frosty being banned. Vortex to start us off. Off-road is second, and we see Control being the third map. Okay. Well, and so again, we see the exact same picks from the previous match. I just now noticed it's Vortex, Off-road, and Control. Okay, something different. Breaking as the fourth.
Okay. I'm interested to see that once more Molotov is picking up Control. I mean, that was the one that Huzo struggled so much on. That was the one that they got pushed probably the hardest, not in terms of score differential, but certainly got pushed very hard by Split Academy. And so the fact that they've gone and picked it again as one of their top 2 map picks is a very interesting story to me. Then we're going to see Sinuous coming up as map number 5, once more picked up by Molotov.
Yeah, but of course we do have to keep in mind that now that they got a bit of a warm-up, you know, they had a match beforehand, which Foot Esports did not have, so maybe they were like, okay, this was just a one-off, we feel warmed up, we'll go at it once again, and with Grip being 6th and Airwalk being the randomly decided map and no speed today for us, and that means that, yeah, this is gonna be our match pool. I'm interested to see, of course, as much as I tried to watch the VOD last time, of course, real life does call sometimes, so I didn't get to watch so much of it. I tried to watch glimpses of it to get to see what I can expect from the regional number 2 as well, just to get myself up to date. But I'm interested to see. Like, I remember, of course, you had the chance to cast them last time. What was your overall view when they were facing each other?
At this stage, I think it was more than just who's going to be making the big mistakes between these two teams. Molotov more likely to get something horribly wrong on something like Control, but Foot, I don't believe, really put too much wrong in any stage on any map. They were more just a case of getting their lines absolutely perfect. And if you're going to challenge them, it's going to come down to not just you got to wait and hope they're going to make a mistake, because you can't rely on that. You're going to have to push yourself hard if you're Molotov, and that comes at a price. You're always, the harder you push, the more likely you are to make some mistakes. So it's going to be interesting. Molotov, can they actually bring themselves up? Do they have that big match temperament on the day to be able to take down the Titans? They've been here before far too many times. So we're going to go into Vortex for our first map.
Yeah, so we will, the first 3 maps at least, we will start off exactly the same as we did in the previous match, but it is a pick from Molotov Gaming, so I'm interested to see where this goes. They did look really good on this map, so Fingers crossed we're gonna get good, but as we have alluded to before, Chimku and Birdie, they are both extremely fast, and some of the times that Chimku has on a few maps are absolutely insane, rivaling even EU in that regard. So it's definitely a man that is on a mission, and he has an excellent teammate alongside. So now we get to see which team is more persevere throughout the section, as we see Huso does have an early mistake, so it now puts Ignite in a position to deny the FUT Esports members.
Yeah, Huso has always been a little bit behind the track. Ignite, maybe just Ignite really showing the class of this in this Turkish showdown. Every one of these players from Turkey, you can imagine how much they have played against each other in local competitions, in every one of the international ones. Really tight competition. A really wide line comes out from Birdie, manages to secure it at the end. Ignite was looking to cut that short, but it is the first of probably many aces that FUT managed to secure for themselves.
Yeah, that is a good start. Ignite tried to go for it. He tried to go for a lower line, but that exit speed going higher into the grass wall ride, it does pay off. So definitely worth doing so. But now we get to see, can Molotov Gaming now bounce back from that? They did look good on their map pick, like I said before. So it is something that it's not written in stone that FUT Esports is gonna have an easy time here. But definitely as an opponent, they are definitely not the most easiest one to get to. And we see the variety in lines as well, as Birdie is the one that goes for the wider line, more speed, Buck slide as well. So that is the variety you can have on this map in that section. But so far, looking pretty good. No major mistakes. Everybody just having their own pace. But as soon as I say that, of course, Ignite has to respawn and go for it again. And now it is the reverse. Before it was Ignite, and now it's Huso.
Again, Birdie managing to get such pace out of these corners. Huso takes a nice inside line, though. Manages to at least get up into that first place. Birdie right on the tail behind him. 200th of a second behind. And once more, Birdie goes up on the high wall, takes that, and he gets that exit speed to navigate into first place. It is going to be that victory, 2 points up for FUT Esports.
Yeah, well, that's the difference. That's why you go for the high line. You want to get that exit speed. Going for the lower line is, of course, the safe approach. But you just gotta go for it. Like, it's, of course, I don't know, at least to me, it doesn't seem the most difficult part. But then again, after you go through the identity, you sort of want to make sure you don't screw up one of the most easier sections on the map. So, you know, sometimes you have that, you know, I feel like, oh, it's finally done. I just gotta make sure I don't screw this up, and I just go for safe, reasonable. But Birdie definitely pushing everything possible on this map as he goes really high. Somehow still gets it pretty smooth, but for now at least looking pretty clean as we see so far. But again, Huso does find himself a bit further behind.
It's so beautiful to watch Birdie. He's got a different mentality than anyone else on this pitch. You can see it just by the lines that he's choosing. Ignite nearly losing it on the rotator, but managing to at least come back and not losing any significant time. But Birdie, those lines that he takes are higher than anyone else. And like you say, it's risky, but he's so confident in being able to do it. He goes for that line every single time. Oh no, Huso going to be checking out, just unfortunately on the identity. Unfortunately, Birdie not the one to come forward. Thankfully for him, his teammate Chimko still managing to secure that first place as FUT get another 1 point towards their lead. Set themselves up now for this ace finish.
Yeah, that's looking like it's a 7-2 scoreline in favor of FUT Esports. Trackpoint on the line as well. And Vortex looking very promising indeed. And Molotov Gaming, of course, you can say, of course, they had sort of a warm-up to this match as well. They did play, of course, Split Academy. So sometimes we have seen actually that teams that have played before sometimes have actually a better start, but it can go either way. Sometimes you already have played a match and you feel like, okay, oh god, we just played the match, we have to go again. But Birdie does touch the wall, so now it does allow Molotov Gaming a bit of a breather compared to the previous rounds. And as soon as I say that, of course, Huso is absolutely out of it, and now it is Birdie allowing it to come closer and even catching up to Ignite.
Oh, it's you gotta wait a half a second after you actually say anything with full confidence as a caster, because you know it's gonna come round to bite you. And talking about biting you, Birdie ready to take a nip at Ignite's tail. as they come right towards the final identity. A little bit of check on the wall, gives some space. Ignite. Oh, it means actually Birdie going to really struggle with that. Has to respawn, gives up the space to Huzo. And Huzo looking to try and secure at least a draw between these two. Birdie very far behind. And it is going to be him in a rare 4th place. It keeps Molotov alive for at least one more round.
Yeah, that is good stuff still, never give up, the race is not over until you get across the finish line, and Huso, even making that earlier mistake, still goes and gets it in the end, as Birdie, with that wall touch, has a really bad respawn, because you don't have any speed whatsoever, and I said that beforehand, that in a Vortex, the more speed you have, the easier that identity is, so it allows for the spinners to just rotate your car even more the slower you are, so again, Molotov Gaming are picking up points, but that point cap is 5. So unless we get an ace here, it's Foot Esports don't really need to do much to get much on this map.
Yep, even just drawing it out the whole way is a very, very viable strategy for Foot Esports. And they're going to have to actually do better in this round if they want to keep it like that, because Huzo and Ignite managing to take that 1st and 2nd point, and by a decent margin, but for now, means that they could try and secure themselves a bit of a comeback. An ace here would put them in a much better contention as we go into this last identity. Ignites! Oh no!
Oh man, it was looking so good, like the perfect setup for the story. I say they need to get some points on the board, and then Ignite falls off the identity. Man, it was looking so good for an ace. We could have been at 8-6. Man, God, this is supposed to be scripted. Come on, Ignite. We talked about this before the match.
No, that was the script going the other way. Ignite, they had it so well in hand, and that was their best opportunity, right? And this is what we said. Foot is not a team that typically makes big mistakes, and Ignite once more taking a horrible deficit there, not managing to get that jump up, and now has almost no way back into this. And with just a single point on the line, Foot, that they've basically got this now. It would have to take something truly atrocious for them to not even be able to pick up a single one. Birdie going to be leading the charge for what could be and should be the last lap here. As long as there's no shenanigans on the identity, it seems pretty secure that Foot going to be able to take map number 1.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the case of surely nothing will go wrong, but I mean, it has to absolutely combust into flames at this point for Foot Esports to lose this round, and with them getting across the identity, that is the draw that they need. Yeah. Uso, of course, gets 1st position, but that is as token as it's gonna get. It will be a 10-5 scoreline, or 5-10, whichever way you want to be pedantic about, but track point for Foot Esports, that is for certain.
Wonderful play by them. No big mistakes most of the time. A couple of little moments, but those defining factors, stuff like Birdie's lines through it, the fact that both players were able to consistently come to the front and be able to challenge it out. And it seemed like only one person from Molotov ever able to really step up and start challenging it out. Ignite and Huzo doing well, managing to get the ideas, but certainly not enough to be able to secure more than that. As we head into map number 2, this one going to be off-road. This is, of course, the Molotov map pick.
Yeah, well, it is in this case, I do believe, isn't it? It should be Foot Esports pick, because it is that Molotov Gaming is the blue side here, so they did get the 1st pick, unless I'm remembering wrong here. It should be Foot Esports pick this one.
Yes, sorry, this is Foot map.
Yeah, I was wondering from either you're testing me here and I passed the test, or I'm just trying to find things where they shouldn't be. But Foot Esports pick, that is for certain, and it's looking to be quite a good show why it is Foot Esports pick, because they are quite comfortably in the lead, and with Huso hitting the checkpoint block there, it's looking to be like an ace for Foot Esports at the moment, unless, again, something happens, a sudden tree appearance in Trackmania World Tour, maybe? Perhaps?
There's always trees that just jump out. At least when I'm driving, then the trees seem to magically appear.
There it is!
Temco, there's the tree that you wanted. And unfortunately, it does give it up to Ignite for that. So Molotov going to be able to eke out a random point that they almost didn't deserve. But of course, deserving is who gets across the finish line first. And so 1 point on the board thanks to Ignite.
Thank you very much,
depending on how you think about it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tree. I'll PayPal you later. Just send me the details, okay? Either way, next round. That was something. Yeah, I was. That's something that does happen. Like I wasn't really wanting. The thing is, I don't want people to crash. Okay, let's be honest. I want people to have a clean race. I want it to be like absolutely 1,000th of a second every single round. But it's nice and spicy when you just call something out and it actually happens. It's the caster's delight and curse in the same package. But Ignite having a bit of a rough time here, and Birdie also needing the double respawn. So it's sort of a Chemku round here in first position as everybody else is trying to catch up or get to the same position.
Huzo also not comfortable on that line into the ice slides, means that he slows down a little bit. But he's out the other side. Chemko, wanting to redeem himself through these trees, does so beautifully and gives that opportunity still. The draw on the line, Huzo managing to navigate that. Ignite also behind them. And Birdie just left behind a little bit, still trying to take a bit of a tour of the architecture. But it is going to be a draw here. And Foot still only 1 point ahead.
It's looking quite interesting, I will say. It's been sort of a round where one of the members of Foot Esports gets to the line without any issues. The other one has a bit of a moment, let's just say, one of the moments on the map. So Molotov Gaming, at least it seems that if they can get that round going for them, there is definitely an option for them to get some well-deserved points here, because they're now, I'm sure if I was in the position of Foot Esports, I would be thinking, God, every round we've had like a little thing that goes wrong, and sometimes it can get in the back of your head, but for now, at the moment, it's looking like everybody is in it to win it.
Nice line from Chemko to go through there, coming down to the ice slide. Huzo does manage to stay lower than everyone else. Not going to have a lot of speed out the other side, and Ignite checks himself out of the race. He was trying to follow Chemko so closely, but gives it away. And now it's Foot who's going to be the ones to look a little bit stronger coming into the trees. Chemko managing to navigate a Birdie out the other side as well. And Huzo's best option is to pick up a third place.
Yeah, he was getting closer to Birdie, but at that point it was not enough. If the identity was like the hard one, maybe with more speed he was able to do it. But with such a short identity, you really need to get that speed going and be close enough to snipe in the end. But currently, I assume he would wish that he was actually on the harder version, so he would actually have the chance. But we see not something we don't see quite often. It is Chemku who gets an early mistake, but it is not big enough to cause as much, as Huzo does have a bit of a touch of his own. So it's sort of like a 1v1 in the front and the back at the moment.
But everyone's still so close to each other that it could change around at any stage. Chemko certainly wants to be there and try and secure the ace for the team, and he's going to be allowed to ignite. Goes out there, but it seems everyone's struggling through the checkpoint. Huzo comes from 4th place, manages to come out, and with a bit of speed, gives him 1st place. Ignite, of course, still very far behind, but the opportunity is at least there for Molotov to pick up position number 1 and eke out a draw.
Yeah, but Birdie now is pretty close, but it seems that now they are getting through the identity quite cleanly, and it is no trouble there. And it is a draw, which gives a point towards Molotov Gaming, but sets up for the esports for a nice ace track point to secure this track point as well. And again, it has been looking like the opportunities are there. Molotov Gaming has the opportunities. For the esport hasn't been flawless, and of course, as soon as I say that, Huzo does hit the corner and has a bit of a trouble, but does still keep himself in sort of, he's shadowing, he's waiting to bounce on that little mistake that for the esports actually have been having. Like, it hasn't been like a clean effort yet. It's been a bit of a struggle, but maybe, maybe it hasn't just been the start here. Maybe they're listening to me right now and saying, what are you on about? We're in an ace position. Caster, get on with the program here. But looking to actually close it out here.
There we go. And that's been the difference so far between Foot and Molotov, is when Foot has made devastating mistakes, it seems like there's also been at least one player from Molotov that's fallen into those same traps. And it means that Foot, when they do it well, when they do it perfectly like this, manage to pick up that ace, whereas Molotov only ever able to eke out 1 point at a time. And it means it closes out Foot's map pick with a 10-3 difference. And Molotov once more setting themselves up to have a very difficult run to try to bring the series back under their control.
Yeah, well, what a nice segue. I don't know if it was intended, but what a way to segue into the map of Control. So here we are. This
Always
was the
planned.
map where Split Academy actually gave Molotov Gaming a bit of a rough time, of course, because the end was where it was a bit of a struggle, and Huso had a few moments on this map where little things, not even getting to the identity, didn't go his way. So, but they did pick it. So it seems that they are comfortable enough to say, okay, that map didn't go maybe as well as we have practiced it, but we're comfortable enough that we can go at it once again. And let's see how it goes. As for now, at least the start is looking promising and everybody's gotten through, but this is the first literal 20 seconds of the map, so we'll see how the rest of it goes.
Well, it would be interesting if that's the mentality that comes out from Molotov, is that being such a temperamental map, maybe they're hoping that Foot is going to have more opportunities to make mistakes. Something like speed, not really the options to try and bring it back, not really the big options to be able to differentiate yourself, but these sort of jumps into the bobsleigh as we go here. It's a really nice start. Molotov looking very powerful. Birdie still challenging them for that first position. And even Chemko looking to try and reinstall him into this fight. Hasn't managed to secure anything more than 4th place. But the 1st place, Birdie having it there. Everyone goes up high. Huso doesn't have a great jump though. Still, oh, he gives it up at the very last. Chemko just being hounding there the entire way through. It's going to be 2 points for Foot and 1 for Molotov.
Somehow Huso makes it. He went for literally the straight jump into that segment, which it can work. I wouldn't use it as a strategy, but maybe he didn't have the best lineup there, and basically he was sort of forced into it. And we see a bit of a yep tree moment. Huso hits the tree on the landing there, and it means that Ignite is the one now chasing the Foot members. He does have Birdie in his pocket, but he needs Chemku in the other pocket as well. And for now at least, Birdie is looking to Shadow at the moment, just waiting, just casually seeing. That's a bit of a wobble. Does he have the speed? He can make this, but this is going to be a very awkward bobsleigh. Well, he sticks it, but you know, we'll give it a 5 out of 10. You know, you stick the landing at least. But for now, Molotov Gaming, well, unless Chemku makes a mistake, it's still looking like a victory.
Chemko goes up into the last jump, seems to recover very nicely, is going to be able to get across the front line first. And like you say, Birdie, even with his slow entrance into the bobsleigh, has enough momentum to carry it through, has the techniques to hold it out. And Huso's early mistake costs him and the team another 2 points. That means Foot now managing to double up the scoreline. Molotov just 2 in it. They would need an ace to be able to try and really bring this back. But as I say that, Huso once more makes a devastating start.
Yeah, it's just not working out for Huso at the moment. This map has been a bit of a plague for him. It was in Split Academy match, and it sort of has been following him along here as well. And Ignite with a bit of a upsy-daisy landing does get it under control, but allows now for Esports to take a commanding almost half a second lead. So yeah, it is. It's hard to say, of course. Sometimes it's. Of course, we don't know the exact reasons why people pick the maps as well. But well, I'm sure, like in practice for Molotov Gaming, this map probably has been working really well. But currently against Foot Esports and even against Split Academy, at least today, Huso hasn't been getting it going. But it seems that Foot Esports are getting the ace on the board, and that is now a 2-7 scoreline in favor of them.
Beautiful driving from Foot there, it has to be said. There was really not a lot that they had to work with from Molotov getting it wrong, especially Ignite. Ignite had maybe one rough landing, and that was enough to differentiate. Foot, Chemko, Birdie, they are driving flawlessly throughout this. And when they get it right, they get all 3 of those points. Now, Molotov have so much work to do. Again, it is track points. And Ignite's going to take a nice early lead as Chemko meets the inside edge.
Oh, there you go. There's one lifeline right there. That's where you need to capitalize. Those mistakes do not come often, and those rounds is where you need to really take advantage of them. We already saw one round where it didn't go their way and it ended up in a draw, but now again they're in an ace position. Birdie has fallen a bit behind and falls even more. So much so that Chimku is also in the mix again, but with Huso having a really rough time during that segue there, it is now a draw position yet again. And now Ignite really needs to hold on here and get it clean. Does get the landing here, Chimku gets it, Birdie has to respawn, so it is a victory for Molotov Gaming. But again, the opportunities are there, and the aces, especially when you're down with such a margin, you have to take them, because it's just the 1 point at this point works for Foot Esports, because Molotov Gaming, even if they win the next 2 rounds, Foot Esports still win because they get that 2 extra points they need.
Yep, 100%. It has to come down to an ace at some stage, and Molotov was in the best position that we've seen from them so far to be able to take that. Unfortunately, they give it up. Now they're fighting it tight again. Ignite and Hughes are really on the trail of Chemko as we go into this tight corner. Birdie hanging around so close. No one yet to put a foot wrong to go into our dirt. It's been a very interesting contest between these two teams. Foot have their opportunities to make mistakes, or at least they do make the mistakes and give the opportunities to Molotov, but Molotov yet to capitalize. They've got one more opportunity here. Really nice bobsleigh from them, and they've taken Birdie out. Even Chemko struggling through there, and a decent margin that Molotov needs to pounce on right now.
I mean, if they don't take this round, it was never meant to be. This has to be an ace. Otherwise, they really are throwing it away. And now they actually do it.
There we go.
When it is really need to be done, it's done. 7-8. And it actually puts, you know, when you go into a round like that, you're in a position where if Molotov Gaming get another ace, they get the track point. And when you're in Foot Esports shoes, you were like, oh god, that round really didn't go so well and they just aced us. Are they going to do it again? Again, those voices in your head start to talk to you a bit. Get a bit of a schizo moment there, but, you know, still, it's not all lost. But again, Birdie goes a bit too inside and now he's completely out of it. So now it is actually the worst case scenario. Chimku has to actually pull it off and get the ace, or at least deny the ace, or get some points on the board.
Oh, the biggest opportunity. Trackmania, you beautiful game, managing to open up the competition completely. And Molotov has always been able to, or at least almost always been able to get up at least one track off this Foot side. They would love to be able to do it here. Unfortunately, they've given some space to Chemko. Ignite meets the outside corner. Huzo the inside. And Chemko now sitting in first place. It's just the identity that's going to separate this. If Foot do manage to get this, Chemko, at least if they can deny him the 2 points, it'll be good enough. But Molotov only going to be getting a maximum of 1. Certainly not going to be able to secure it. And that means both teams really now on the very margin of being able to take this game for themselves.
Yeah, it's fine margins. It's 8-9. It's anybody's game. One mistake, even at the start or wherever, could decide this round. So we have to wait and see how it goes. Everybody gets it nice and clean at the start. Nobody getting that inside now, and everybody gets it clean. So it's a fine line here. Foot Esports to take the early lead, but it's basically neck and neck. Who gets a better start here? It's a bit either way, either or. Birdie does stay in the lead, but it's basically anybody's game at this point. We are getting closer to the bobsleigh, and that's where usually the bigger differences come in.
Bobsleigh now setting up right now. Like you said, everyone in this. Ignite gets a beautiful line out there and some decent pace. Even manages to get above Birdie. Even Huzo managing to challenge out these Foot players. There's less than 100th of a second now, or at least a 10th of a second. Huzo and Ignite, they could secure this right now. They've got to get the ace if they want to deny any points. Huzo manages to come out early.
Oh
Jenko manages to sneak in at the end. Oh, come on!
No, come on. It was there, Molotov Gaming. We go to overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe the first of the day, but it is what a map to go on to as well. I was so close. Husos just had a really awkward entry into the bobsleigh and was enough for Chemku to snipe second position. Oh, that's gotta feel bad as you go into overtime. You were like, oh, come on, we could have had it. So hopefully Huso still doesn't let it get to him and gets a clean round going. As again, we see a similar round as before. Everybody neck and neck. Oh my god, that's overtime as well. God, I cannot even imagine myself in there. My heart would be palpitating at this point if I was them. Chipko absolutely out of it, so it's all on Birdie.
Well, Birdie has so much work to do. It needs to come in that first position if they have any chance or hope for Molotov to really drop down here on the identity. Ignite still sitting in the first position. Birdie in second. Ignite goes down. Birdie going to be able to get first place. He goes around the outside. User's going to be able to pick it up. Ignite sitting there. Chemko picks up second. Birdie gets third.
What is happening? What is that round? Oh my god, Birdie absolutely saved by that. Oh, he was able to still get to the finish. It's a draw in the end. What is happening? Oh my god. That was an insane conglomeration of things happening. For God's sake, we're in overtime and this is the first round we get. Oh my goodness sake. Oh. Boy, if your heart is not going now, what is it going now?
Oh man, Gritty, this is my first overtime that I've ever got to cast in Trackmania, and I gotta tell you, this is the most intense action of any esport I've ever had the chance to do. And between these two teams especially, with this much on the line, we carry on going in our third round effectively. For deciding points. Ignite being able to hold it up there. Birdie just sitting right behind him in second place. Once more going to be defined by this identity. Huzo's there. Chemko a bit far behind, but we know that anything can happen. Molotov do manage to take it in and least first place. Huzo manages to lose it at the end. Ignite first place. Chemko Birdie second. Chemko third. And we're going to have to go to one more.
Oh, it's really at the moment. I got a feel for Huso at the moment. If I was him, I would be also like, God, it's every round, it's me all the time. I hope he doesn't think about it. He should be focusing on one round at a time, not let it get to him, because at the moment he's still doing really good, and Foot Esports are really struggling to close this out. They have the perseverance to hold out on the draw, but it's 12-12 and we go once again. I mean, at this point, it's just whoever's camel breaks first at this point. Ooh, Huso does avoid the corner, but the tension is high. Tension is really high.
Look at this. We're down to hundredths of a second. Everyone really tightly between first and fourth place. We're going to go into our bobsleigh in just a second, and that really has been a big differentiating factor. Molotov now sitting behind the 2-foot players. Birdie, a terrible line comes out of there. Even Chemko losing some speed. It is going to be Huzo right on the tail. Chemko so close now. Birdie even further behind. Managed to stay at least enough in it that once more, this identity going to be the make or break for both of these teams.
Oh, they're going to the line. I don't know who's first. Oh my god. Foot Esports get it. They are separated by 1/10. Oh, by God's big 10,000ths of a second. Oh no, that is such a heartbreak and a half. You lose the overtime by less than a few thousandths of a second. Oh, that could have been it there. Oh, that's probably the... Oh, that's such a tough loss to take into overtime. Now they go into the next map. You only have a few seconds to calm yourself down after that match. No. Oh my god, that is probably one of the best rounds we've seen so far. And that was in overtime as well.
3 overtime rounds. And I mean, the number of opportunities Molotov had to actually take that and secure it for themselves is going to break their heart. But they've got to shake it off. Like you say, one game at a time, one map at a time, and we're going into breaking. This is, of course, back to Foot's map pool. Even though Birdie is struggling at the beginning of this, Molotov are going to be fired up to come in here and try and secure themselves at least one map.
Yeah, I mean, after that, you must feel absolutely ignited. Think of every synonym you can for flammable for Molotov Gaming, because Huso does have to adjust at the moment and gets absolutely wedged, what we call in Trackmania, and is absolutely out of it. Birdie does touch the wall, so it is kind of a 1v1 at the front, so, you know, it is not all written in the stars quite yet, as Chemku does get through the pool section cleanly, but still has to get the end, and this can be quite treacherous if you do push it a bit too much. But this time, whoa, Ignite does go close to the edge, but it seems that currently the order that we see on the leaderboard is the order we're gonna get a victory for with esports, as Huso does get a bit of practice time in. I would say, if anything, first round, if you do get it wrong, it's probably the best time to just quickly go through the identity a few cycles, you know, get that muscle memory in so you're ready for the next rounds.
Yeah, 100%. Is first round is always just a little bit of more of a warm-up, adapt to the map, just refresh your muscle memory about each of these turns. And certainly, Molotov at least going to be picking up a single point, gives them a little bit more hope to work with. They're going to be trying to fight it back now. Birdie certainly struggled. Ignite's going to be struggling there with his front left bumper, meeting into the wall and putting him in 4th place. Tmwt and Birdie into this. Both of them also had their moments of weakness in breaking here, but not defined just yet. Huso very much in the running for that first place to go into the very long ice slide into the drop, and Huso navigating it much better than he did previously.
And it's looking very good for Foot Esports side as well. We can now slowly quite get the adrenaline levels slightly down here. Maybe grab a glass of wine, enjoy a nice piece of cheese as well. But it's looking pretty comfortable for Foot Esports as they are in an ace position and looking pretty good. No mistakes, nobody falling into the pool, and it is an ace to start them off. So very good. Now definitely they have shaked off that abundance of energy that they might have used for the previous map, and they are definitely looking comfortable on their map pick. 5-1 the scoreline.
Yeah, it's that comfort, right, that you're talking about, and straight away we see Huso taking a very rough start towards us. And this is the big thing that Foot has been able to do, regardless of the map. When they've had these opportunities to secure themselves an ace, they hold their temperament so well to be able to secure it at the end. And once more, they've got themselves in right now. All they need to do is beat out Ignite. Ignite's not going to make this easy for them. He's up in 1st place, and he has been a consistent racer the entirety of this competition so far. It'll be nice to see what he can do there. Tmwt losing all of his pace there. He might actually have to respawn there.
He's able to get down there. I think it's better to do so, because otherwise he would have had a pretty rough respawn into the ice section again. So good decision to still hold on to it and go until the very end. But it does allow Huso to get closer. I don't know if it will be enough, but first we gotta see if Ignite gets this identity right. Pretty clean, pretty good. Nice. And that is Pops Your Uncle, and that is secured. Tmwt also comes in, and Huso is further behind, and at the moment has to not really finding his footing on the identity at the moment, and is, well, again, using the opportunity to quickly go through it once more, but with the draw on the board, it's 2-6 for Foot Esports.
And there it is, right? So that big difference being the ace. Foot going to be content with taking draws when they need to. They just need to worry about the single player who's still in it. And with Foot being able to always be able to, or almost always be able to get both of their members across the line in good time, it means that there's always pressure against Molotov. If one player really struggles, then they can do, the best they can do is really force out a draw. Worst case scenario, they take a big deficit, and Foot going to be able to then just exacerbate that deficit by being able to get draws when they need to, keep the scoreline ticking up, being able to get themselves 4 points ahead right now. Tmwt in 1st place. Ignite goes there, manages to get a little touch. Huso alongside him, and they're going to be fighting it out. Birdie, the one to really struggle in this map, and he's dropped all the way to the back.
Yeah, but currently Tmwt, what did you, as you brought up a good point, one member has a tough time, but with binoculars we can see that one of the Foot Esports members is quite comfortably in front, and this is what Foot Esports are very deadly with. Yes, one member can have a tough time, but then you have a powerhouse in Tmwt who is rapid on these maps, and it's very hard to really take him down. If you want anyone to make a mistake on Foot Esports teams, you would rather take actually Tmwt, because he has so much pace, and you saw he literally roasted Molotov Gaming with almost a second of a gap.
I mean, that's the power rights of this Foot Esports side. They've got number 1 and 2 in Turkey. They've got number 1 and 2 in the region, in fact, in terms of their players. And it means that regardless of who has that rough check at any stage, they've got the other person that they can very reliably count on to be able to secure it. That one person is still most likely to take the first position. And so the worst thing that they have to suffer is a draw. And that is an incredibly powerful thing. Huzo once more struggling a little bit on this ice to be able to come out there. He can see his opponents, but they're all starting to draw away from him. It's once more up to Ignite. When Ignite is struggling against just one of these players, it's going to make it even harder when there's two of them in the lead.
Yeah, and and Chimku sort of forgets that there's a light bulb in there, and does give away the position. So what looked to be a match point and done and dusted does become a victory for Foot Esports. That could have been the closing match point there for Foot Esports. You know, they do put a foot wrong there, but with a lead of 4-9, the only way Molotov Gaming get this map is with 2 aces. And of course, I can try to paint the Mona Lisa here all I can, but it really needs to be where Foot Esports maybe let it go too early, or think that the match is already over for allow Molotov Gaming to come into this, because. But as soon as I say that, of course, Birdie is absolutely out of it. Caster, you speak too soon. The map is still ongoing, but they still have to beat Chemku.
Oh. And that's the big thing, right? Is one player is always doing so well from this foot side. In this case, it's Chemko. He's been dominating this map, in fact, rarely putting any feet wrong, or tires wrong, I guess you could say, in being Trackmania. But coming out of this beautifully. He's got some pace. He's got a decent lead, more than half a second ahead of even Huzo, who's behind him. Ignite, sitting in that third position, is going to rely on Chemko really messing up if there's any chance of Molotov bringing back this map. We head into the identity. A nice straight line from Chemko out of that. He seems to be so comfortable on this, and being able to pick up that first position secures Foot Esports the win.
Yeah, and that is a 4-0, but I mean, yes, we have the scorelines that we have, but God forbid that control, man. I cannot get it out of my head. That was probably some of the most excruciatingly close stuff I've seen in a long while, but again, Foot Esports 2 take it, and it just I really feel for Molotov Gaming. It was one of those where it coulda, woulda, but it didn't, unfortunately.
Shoulda, right? Yeah, with the number of opportunities they had, they shoulda had that a good couple of times. But got to be a testament to how well Foot plays, that they're able to hold themselves in check, not let the nerves get to them at any stage, and push it further. Always unlock that next level of what they can bring to it. But of course, that means once more Foot managing to make their way into the grand finals. Molotov going to have to take a little bit longer to secure themselves that position. They're going to be dropping down to the lower bracket finals. Not sure that they're worried about that, of course, because they have been there many times. And they have beaten pretty much all of the teams that have been down there. But still, an opportunity for a new person to join the top 2 in this region.
Yeah, definitely every opportunities are there. And what we saw from the Split Academy versus Molotov Gaming match, I mean, the cards are still on the table. We do have to see. I do believe that the round at the moment is over at the moment. I do believe that all of the matches have actually ended, but don't quote me on that. I have to double check, but at least from my end, well, when we check on the matches, they do seem to be all over at the moment. We'll have to wait and see if there is anything here. So I do see that the matches are indeed over, so we can go on to a quick break here for about 3 or so minutes, and we'll be right back with the next match. So don't go far, we'll be right back. We are back once again. Trackmania World Tour MEA Regional doesn't stop here. We still have plenty of matches to go. 3 in fact. We of course have lower bracket semi-final, then the lower bracket final, and the El Grande Finale to come as well. And if anything is to go by, I mean, overall, I will say today has been full of absolutely banger matches. Even though the scoreline might say otherwise, we have had some absolute thrillers today.
Oh yeah, I mean, 2-4-0 series doesn't actually tell the story. Whether it was Split Academy versus Molotov, those were some intense matches that could have definitely gone the way of Split Academy if they had managed to polish up just that little bit more. And then, of course, Molotov versus Foot. Oh, in general, the Foot dominated affair, but that control map will probably stay with me for the rest of my casting career, man. To take it to 3 overtime maps and then give it away at the last second, that identity is just so defining for that map. I'm loving it so far. And the fact that we get to see all of those teams again for the rest of today makes me so excited.
I mean, yeah, it's been a thriller. MEA, I mean, when MEA arrives and delivers, it delivers. Yes, we know 4-0 scorelines can go either way, but I mean, it's been absolutely insane. But we have another match on our hands, and we see that the pick and ban is already underway. As it is, as I said before, it is CI versus Split Academy. So it is Hubabibi and Ragnar versus Benoxy and Thomas, and I'm interested to see how these square up against each other. Of course, we've seen plenty of Split Academy. We only saw one round of Grip with an ace for CI, so we don't really have much of to go on, at least when we go on to CI at least.
Interesting right now that they seem to be banning control here, but I think a little bit of consternation in the background. Very interesting that control being banned, considering we saw it picked in the last 2 rounds, both of the times by Molotov. And I thought Split Academy looked pretty strong in control. In fact, I thought that was their strongest map against their opponents, against Molotov in that upper bracket. But yeah, okay. Control being taken out means that we've got a little bit of a different play style between these two. Still haven't seen our good old Frosty. And Airwalk being surprisingly absent for a lot of these teams here today.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten to them, but it does seem that there might be a refresh of the pick and ban. So, because Hubabibi did not ban one, I'll quickly go to our point of view and quickly check the in-game chat to see as well. One moment, we'll have to take a look as well, so you don't guys get to see the back end of the things as well. But we do seem to be that we might need to do a reset of the pick and ban because it did not go the way it was supposed to. Because at least it seems that the pick and ban ways had a bit of a moment there, but yeah, we'll get back to it in a moment. But I mean, it allows us to just talk a bit more, talk about what is to come for the match.
Well, what I'm very interested in is how this region is starting to develop, because, we've always had a long 1-2 position locked in there. And then, the 3 onwards has been a little bit up in the air. And considering there are 4 wildcard spots, it means that fight for 3rd and for 4th is so important between these teams. The fact that the Southern Speedsters yesterday that we got to see really struggled. We
have Frosty!
Okay, forget about the entire story now. We got Frosty first up.
Let's go! We got the Frosty here. Oh, here we go. That's what we want to see. We haven't seen... Of course, there's a lot of other maps we don't get to see, but Frosty with Sinuous has probably received the least amount of love throughout the entire World Tour. So, I mean, when you see Frosty, it's like the second coming of Jesus, and they blitz their way through this pick and fan base. We have Frosty, Grip, Vortex, Off-road, Braking, Airwalk, and the Decider Sinuous. I mean, they blitzed through this. I didn't even get to finish one sentence, then they were done.
Braking, Airwalk, Airwalk, and Sinuous.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. We're still going to see Grip and Vortex. We've seen a lot today. Off-road, we've seen a lot today. So the 3 of the 4 first maps going to be just a repeat of previous sort of events, the typical things that have come out. And certainly it seems to be maps that these teams have practiced a lot, obviously because they enjoy them themselves, but also very favored by their opponents. So there's going to be a lot of revision of those maps when we get to them. But Frosty, man, Kirby, we've talked about Frosty, and I want you to really break down for everyone why you love this map so much.
Well, I enjoyed the map as well because it's something we don't see quite often. It's the ice is something we have seen plenty of times, but people avoid it like the plague. It was the same in stage 1, gyroscope. Bless you in pieces. We remember the. But yeah, ice is something that we don't see quite often, and it's something I enjoy well because it uses a mechanic you don't see often. It's the 360s on ice that don't come about as well, and you saw it on your screen as well. I thought CI represented by Ragnar Inho and Ubabibi. I love that name. My favorite name in the entire regional for MEA. And Benoxian Thomas for Split Academy. But going back to the map itself, I mean, it's just it's an enjoyable map to drive. Like, yes, it has those ice sections, but when you nail them, God forbid, it's so satisfying. It boosts your emotional happiness by at least 500 when you get that 360 perfectly. I don't know whatever else says, but I mean, every time I went on this map and I got that 360 perfectly nice, oh, chef's kiss, I'm just gonna say. But I'm not the one playing, and definitely not important for me as it is for these two teams.
Well, it's going to be interesting as we see some absolute chaos starting us off here from CI. Ragnarino dropping all the way out there. In fact, does it one more time just at the back there, meaning Split Academy with a good start at the front. They've got to take control of that first position. And that 360 is a very interesting feature simply because there are almost no other maps that have that feature. So it's not exactly a technique that you practice a lot of the time, except for when you get to it on this sort of map. You still see Hababibi managing to hold up onto that first position. Benoxy, just as I say that, takes it as we head into our defining feature. Benoxy, like a dancer, navigating this, and beautifully done.
Yeah, that was a very nice way to go. Yeah, there's a lot. The thing is with this identity is I think a lot of people don't give credit. There is so many ways you can absolutely snipe somebody on the line. You just get it to turn around a bit quicker, like, okay, press accelerate and towards the finish. And this is not the hard version where you have to do the 360 once. You do have to do it only one time, and then it really sets you up for a really nice finish block. So there's so many opportunities where maybe you don't get the 360 quite well, but you might set yourself up for a very nice snipe on the line. And we'll just have to wait and see as Thomas absolutely in the stands. Oh, no spectators were hurt in the making of this Grand League World Tour. So for now, at least, CI in a lead with Hubabibi absolutely, well, with binoculars, pretty hard to even see at the moment. But everything to play for as Ragnar is, well, somehow still alive, but really struggling to get the 360s going.
Man, we talk so much about this final identity, but this Frosty map has got some other very tricky sections, whether it's the start little jumps that you can really perfect a line across, or any of the other slides that come throughout this entire map. It makes it so many options for how to get it right or how to get it wrong, how to shave off those seconds or how to give it up completely. Hababibi, though, really struggling, not at all in this. He did well in the first round, manages to come through in first place for this one. Benoxy versus Ragnar, those two trying to find it out, or at least, sorry, Ragnar versus Thomas in this. It is, of course, going to be Ragnar going to be able to take up that second position and level up our game.
Yeah, 3-3 the score as we go into round 3, fittingly. And looking at the moment, yeah, it's the fun part is that the map was picked, of course. Now the question is how prepared each team is. Of course, it is that the pick of CI, of course, as at least in the regionals, blue team is always a pick number 1, unless something else is said otherwise. But that is at least for regionals. That first map pick is always blue side. So it's interesting that they went for this. It's like we said. For example, for Foot Esports, I now remember actually looking at their times that probably Foot Esports is Frosty's a permaban, so probably makes sense. Cash to use English words, please. That they ban it, so we don't get to see it that often, and we see that it's not the easiest map to get to as well.
I mean, it really is an option, right? If you don't feel completely comfortable on it, just take it out, have it as your one set ban, and then just focus on the rest. And I think that it's interesting that CI has been doing that so far, because Habibi actually slides out at the end and has given away the complete ace to Split Academy. And this being their map pick, Ragnarino has struggled the entire way through, and leaving it all up to Habibi means that if there's a single mistake from him, especially at this last point, then seriously things can go wrong so fast, and Split Academy takes full advantage there.
Yeah, that's the biggest point of this map, because there's so many elements that can go wrong here. But the thing is, like, you cannot really say that, oh, you make an early mistake that it is over, because every segment on this map, it's not like the other maps where you most of the time it's very simple. You have a few rifts, a few sections there, and they're mostly very easy to go through. This map, all of it is pretty difficult to go through, apart from maybe that one road part that gets you a pretty, I would say it's more NASCAR-esque. There isn't much to go for it. It's very full speed, so that is probably the most easiest part of this map. The rest of it, 360s, third turns, you name it, it has it all, and it shows. Now, we are actually going into the segment that I just said. It's just one drift, and it's all the way full speed into another drift at the end.
And so far, it seems like Split Academy very comfortable through these 360s, struggling to fight it out versus Habibi and Ragnario managing to come in here in a much closer position than he's been challenging before. It means Split Academy still has work to do. It means that there is going to be a slide out. Binoxi struggling with that one. Ooh. It means the fight actually this time going to be between Binoxis and Ragnarino. Thomas managing to pick up that third position. An absolute chaos for the last 10 seconds.
I mean, well, that's what we love Frosty, man. That's what we have it here for. I mean, of course, you would say that the teams would love to get 4 aces and be done with it. You know, that's job done, pack it up, and next map, right? But Frosty is the map that does deliver some of the most hectic rounds. Mostly because, yeah, it is probably because a lot of teams do not really expect others to pick it, probably. That probably doesn't help them either as well. But at the moment, everybody has a bit of... Thomas is still at the ice line at the start. So, at the moment, at least, it's a draw position overall.
Binoxi, the only one to actually not make a big mistake. Of course, he's going to do it as I say it so. But until then, he is looking very comfortable. Everyone else basically stagnant on this map. Habibi took an early loss. He's somehow still in second place. Binoxi using the full speed NASCAR section of this to be able to try and get a little bit more out of this lead. But everyone else far behind. That fight for second, even third place, going to be difficult. Thomas manages to come back up by a position, but Binoxi's already in the 360 slalom near the end and makes no mistakes there. He's going to secure first place. Habibi struggling a little bit more, does manage to cross the line in second, and Thomas coming through there, just the last one to try and secure an extra point for his team.
Yeah, and that is the track point as well, with a 5-10 scoreline. Split Academy to take the map and track point, so going into a 1-0 lead. Looking pretty good. Frosty as our nice appetizers to start off as we go into the other maps, the more common ones at least, and we go on to Grip, a crowd favorite. Everybody enjoys it, and it is a map that on the surface is pretty simple. There's not much to it. There's a lot of elements. You have different with tarmac, grass, dirt, plastic, water, you name it. You have everything, but these are all little things. It's not what we just saw on Frosty. It's sort of toned down, only little segments and nothing really complicated, but it is very important to still nail it.
Yeah. I think we deserve a little bit more of a calm mentality coming into this, because that was absolutely chaotic, and I do understand why so many teams do not choose to go onto Frosty. Right now, though, back onto the Split Academy map pick. And they're off to a great start here. Habibi a little bit farther behind, and Ragnario really struggling throughout this, is 5 seconds off the pace. This Split Academy sticking tightly together. They've got some space to work with, and I think they're going to be happy for that and to keep going with this victorious start that they've given for themselves.
Yeah, they're enjoying their time. They definitely have time to spare. 3 seconds. I mean, if you do know how to play this game, I don't know. Of course, it's very hard to know. Some players do play with the HUD on. Some play with HUD off. For example, I play with HUD on, so I would constantly know where everybody is. For example, but if you are a HUD off player, then you do potentially sometimes need to check where everybody is. And if one of them did check just to see what the splits are, and they saw like, okay, one of them is 3 seconds behind, yeah, okay, we can cruise it till the end. No heroics needed for the identity, and they do take the ace, and we move on to the next map. And of course, we have to mention this is Split Academy's pick, so it would entail that they would be able to get this pretty comfortably.
Yep, 100%. And I think that the utilization of that mentality of when do I need to push a little bit faster, when do I really need to try and eke out every second on that identity is a very important decision to make. And the ability of Split Academy to read the game so well that they're being able to adjust their playstyle to that is a nice start for them. And once more, they're into this. Binoxi drops out a little bit, and actually he's going to go completely off the edge of the identity now, has to respawn. Ababibi fighting it out for first place, but he's going to struggle to take that off of Thomas. Ragnario managing to come back as well into third place, but Noxie struggling so much with that he gives himself all the way to fourth. It is going to be a tie. Split Academy is still happy, though, to be 3 points ahead.
Yeah, it is a draw on the board, but still, that is you gotta start off something, you know. A tree starts from a seed, and 1 point is that seed, so you never know, it might grow into a fabulous tree with a number 10 on it. But for now, at least, CI really need to get it going, as Hubabibi does find himself a bit further behind, but it is still pretty close. Ooh, gets a bit of flight, and now his gears are absolutely in the mud, and barely makes the jump as well. But it is up to Ragnar now to really avoid Split Academy to get an ace and to get a 1-7 scoreline.
I love your poetic nature, my friend. Like the tree that can come from a small seed. It 100% has to be the mentality. Lap by lap, you've got to kind of reset your mentality going into this. You mess up once, that's okay. That's why we don't do just a single lap on any of these maps. But Split Academy back up into this ace position. Binoxi going to be the first one across the line. Thomas so quickly behind them. And even if that seed is there, you've got to water it. You've got to look after it. And you've got to be able to make sure that eventually it's able to give you the shade that you need. And CI going to have to do that very quickly as we are on our second track point.
It is 1-7 the scoreline, the reverse Brazil. So if you're a football fan, you know exactly what that means. Look away at that point if you are from Brazil. But either way, for now it's looking pretty up for Split Academy. They're definitely looking like the team that are motivated to go in the direction. I'm sure CI are enjoying it as well. But on this map pick of Split Academy, they are having a rough time of it. Really going through the paces here, and it seems that Split Academy are just gonna say, okay, 4 rounds, that's all we need. We just need 1 more ace and we get the job done. Ragnar has a bit of a hop and a skip in the water as well, and now the gap is enormous, close to 3 seconds. So I mean, it is going to be an ace. I can do whatever I can in my power. I cannot cast a curse this, it's just impossible. So it is an ace for them, and it is a 1-10 scoreline for Split Academy, taking another track point and taking them to 2-0.
Yep, very obvious map pick here for Split Academy, and well utilized. CI, I don't know if they just haven't practiced this as much as they wanted to, or if they just, this is a map that they have practiced and cannot seem to get right. But whether it was trying to push themselves to the upper limits or just at that stage giving up a little bit towards the later part of the map, they did not manage to secure even more than a single draw throughout that. And I think that's a poor mindset that they've got going into the next map. Maybe want to try and revitalize themselves, get the momentum back on their side, back to their map pick. So maybe they've got something special for us here in Vortex.
Yeah, well, Vortex, of course, has plenty of opportunity to have a bit of fun here. And I'm looking to see, of course, like we said before, we didn't really get to see much of CI throughout the tournament. So I'm interested to see how well they do on Vortex, as I don't remember. Well, I do remember Split Academy did play this against Molotov Gaming and did have a bit of struggle. And we see at the moment, at least, that Hubabibi does get the start. Not so well. Ragnar hits the corner. Benoxy also, but it is currently Split Academy in a pretty comfortable ace position. So looking to start off map 3 with 3 points as well.
I mean, that'll be huge for them. Like you said, they struggled so much against Molotov, only managing to pick up a single point there. And so the fact that they can come back and get 3 off the bat will be such a good start for them. Shake off any of those. But it's not over yet. Of course, we go into our identities. Both Thomas and Benoxy struggling on that against Molotov. Be interesting to see if they can pick it up. They've got a little bit of leeway, and by a little bit, I mean over 5 seconds between the nearest player. So a little bit of pace comes through. Thomas navigates it beautifully. In fact, I say that at the very end, he costs himself this. Benoxy going to carry on with good pace. Thomas has actually given up that second place to Hubabibi.
Yeah, that could have been an ace. We've seen it many times before where a guaranteed ace is absolutely not written in the stars. What looks to be an ace is absolutely the quite opposite of sometimes, but they do still get the victory on the board. Split Academy still get that lead going, so that is the important part. But CI definitely need to get the momentum needs to get rolling. You know, sometimes you just need that one map win to get yourself up and running. And I mean, if there's any place to start, it is Vortex, because otherwise we go on to the next map, and that could be possibly match point already.
That would be a tough start to it for the day. Considering this is the map point, what better time for CI to be able to bring this in? We've got to stop making these critical mistakes. You know, it's not just a half a second that's differentiating the two teams for now. It's big resets that's costing CI. Split Academy having very few of them themselves. Hubabibi going out in that bobsleigh. That's a rough start for him. Benoxy going to be carrying on going. Thomas has also dropped out though. And so Ragnar being the one who has to challenge out this opportunity. Oh, Thomas is out. That's bad, actually. This is a big chance for CI to bring back something. They've just got to try and beat out Benoxy now.
Yeah, but Benoxy is quite far in front, but they are close enough that if he does make a mistake, it could be a difference maker. But everybody does get it clean, and the positions remain the same. And it will be a draw for I would say, draw for CI to keep them in the mix, but Benoxy still holds out in front, and Thomas, well, he's trying to practice the identity at the moment, but definitely having a bit of a time here. So, but we saw this before as well when they played it against Molotov Gaming, if my memory serves me right. That the identity can be very treacherous for one of the members. Depends on the round, of course.
Thomas definitely, I think, has a little bit more of a struggle with it. It would be interesting to see if he can manage to try and rectify that by the end of this series. But a little bit more practice at the end going to help out. What's not going to help out CI is Hubabibi struggling with the first jump. Gives away that all the way 5 seconds behind. So we see Split Academy taking a good 1-2. Ragnar the one to try and fight this out now. Again, this probably comes down to who can navigate out of these tricky sections, these identities, these pipes a little bit better. And of course, the bobsleigh going to make a difference as Ragnar manages to pick up second.
Yeah, Benoxy does clip the upper side of that bobsleigh and allows Ragnar to take advantage. Benoxy also has a bit of an extra clip, and Hubabibi has to completely standstill respawn on the pipe. So that's going to be a bit of a rough time for him. So Ragnar at the moment, if Thomas doesn't get it clean, then Ragnar definitely can overtake. But this time Thomas gets it clean, Benoxy also gets it clean, so all 3 players get through it, and it is a victory for Split Academy, looking more promising, a lot more cleaner than before. And Thomas, with the first 2 rounds where he had a bit of trouble, now gets a clean round to a boost of confidence and an even wider lead than it was before.
Yeah, the boost of confidence for Thomas is probably big right now. You know, if you struggle time and time again with the same identity, it gets into your mindset, and even your muscle memory starts to suffer at that stage where you're going, I don't actually know how I'm supposed to be doing this. You start doubting yourself or trying out new things. The fact that he gets it so cleanly there and secures himself in first place, probably going to reset things for him there. Hubabibi off to a good start out of our vertical jump. And once more, Ragnar just sitting in 4th place, but this time a little bit closer behind as we go up onto our hill.
Yeah, but he does have a bit of an awkward transition to that block, so has to really lose a lot of speed. Still close enough that if something does go wrong up front, that he can take advantage of it. But now we see that Split Academy is chasing Hubabibi down, and they are absolutely right on the tail of that car, trying to get as close as possible, pushing that speed ever so close, and they're literally neck and neck as they go into the identity. Penoxy goes for more speed, and that might be the difference maker. Hubabibi is trying to get it clean, so he's holding on to second position. Thomas is not able to hold on in the back. Well, he's able to get across, but not close enough to Hubabibi. But Penoxy, with that entry speed into the identity, that is something that we haven't mentioned as well. If you get more speed from that drift, that is probably the even more important than the identity itself. If you, because you can, that is how you actually can overtake somebody.
Yep. Sometimes it doesn't have to be that your opponent makes a horrible mistake. Sometimes it can just be that you have perfected it. And there, Split Academy takes full advantage, managing to get first and third there. That's a horrible jump. Ragnar straight away out of this. Hubabibi also with a bad landing gives so much space. Split Academy just need the ace to win this and take their third map. And they're into a good start.
Well, it is one of those where it has to absolutely combust to go completely wrong. But for now, it seems I was able to catch a glimpse of a moment where I don't know if it was a sign of a slight frustration or a sign of just what can I do at this point? As Hubabibi at first started driving the wrong way on the track. Probably it was a slight bit of frustration, I would assume, because it is sort of like, it didn't go well again, and it's the quarter pipe jump that then catch you off guard, as Thomas does have a bit of a moment on the identity, but he's so far in front, 13 seconds, that he now has to respawn third time. And right now, Ragnar actually arrives at the checkpoint. But where's Penoxy? Penoxy's absolutely dead on the checkpoint! Oh, but Ragnar has to respawn. It's absolute mayhem. And after all of that, with a 118.3, wow, what a fast time! They get over the line, and Split Academy get the ace. Well, I didn't even thought. I was so confident Penoxy's gonna already get across the finish line. But then I saw, wait. The timer hasn't popped up. Wait, what's going on? And I switched, and he's stuck on the checkpoint.
Not exactly going for a world record there on Vortex, but somehow Split Academy still managed to do that. And it's interesting that that was CI's map pick, and they drop it completely. A difficult challenge for both of the players at various stages. They are going to have to refine that a lot more, but they're going to have to do it in their own side. This is now the series points. Split Academy have picked up the first three, and quite convincingly so. CI now on the Split Academy map pick. It is off-road.
Yeah, and that is where they have definitely been enjoying more success, if anything. Of course, against Molotov Gaming, it was more of the case where the rounds where they could have taken it, it was always one person that denied them the glorious victory. But now looking pretty comfortable, 3 attack points, they're on their map pick. Ragnar does have a bit of a touch, which means it puts Hubabibi in a position that he needs to deny an ace and keep CI's dreams alive with a draw minimum. So for now, Split Academy hand in hand, going as friends would in a casual walkthrough off-road, going to the picnic. They're going into the forest as everybody slides out, and Hubabibi is the one who's actually first. What am I even talking about? Oh my goodness.
Man, that casual little walk through the park turning into devastation there for Split Academy. But Thomas has managed to regain himself. Hubabibi gives it up and only can claim second place. But certainly Split Academy looking like they don't always have it under complete control. Too much pace into the ice slide cost both of their members. And it gave the opportunity for CI to try and bring something back. They managed to secure 1 point, but Split Academy still with that lead.
Yeah, there is a very simple rule with that ice to avoid the slide out. You do want to release beforehand just to be absolutely sure. But I know for a fact that even when sometimes you have too much speed and you do release, even sometimes you do get that notorious, what we call the wedge, that is now ingrained in our memory as we see Penoxy currently does touch the wall. Allows actually again CI to come in, and Thomas is absolutely out of it. And it is now an perfect opportunity for CI to take the ace here, but Ragnar has to go for the double respawn, but he's still neck and neck with Penoxy.
Oh, everyone again struggling on this. Another one almost reminiscent of Control in how many places it can go wrong. And so Hubabibi, the only one to manage to do this without any sort of scathing just yet, navigates his first set of trees well, manages to come out as long as he doesn't check anything in the final part here. But he does. He goes straight into a tree. He manages to regain himself and still sitting in that first position. Going to flip himself over the edge just ahead of a valiant attempt by Benoxy to try to bring it back. But we are going to end up with a draw at the end here of our second lap.
Okay, maybe now we're getting to the point that maybe a little bit of fatigue is gonna come in as well. Split Academy have been playing all day now as well, and now off-road maybe not looking so comfortable now at this point. Of course, it's very hard to say. It is the 4th map now, and I will say it. Sometimes when you do go for these marathons of plays, like Trackmania is probably one of the few games where you just don't have breaks, man. Like, you just have to go for it, and of course when you look at other games you might have a bit of a break there and there, but it's very demanding, constantly focusing on every single aspect, and it can be really fatiguing. But I say that Split Academy is first again, so it might be an ace, surely, maybe. We'll see.
You can't call that before the ice slide. Like, there is still so much to come, man, but certainly giving themselves a good chance for the ice. Hubabibi, the one to try and deny that out of Split Academy as Ragnar again we see far back. But Huba doesn't manage to come back, checks himself out on the bridge, and gives this completely up to Split Academy. That is going to be their ace to take a massively dominating lead. And unfortunately, CI getting stuck a little bit in the mud there.
Yeah, it's the common term as well. The mud is slightly calling here. They are putting in a good effort. Like, it actually, the start of this map looked really good for CI as well. They were actually looking to take really good advantage of the mistakes that Split Academy have been making. But again, this track really lends itself to the ice slide or those little things that can go slightly bit wrong, and you have to fully respawn. As we see, Ragnar now has had to respawn and has to respawn yet again. So it is Hubabibi who's the one who has to deny points here, and yeah, it's just a track that lends itself to many things that can go wrong. Hubabibi finds himself in the hole and absolutely stuck in the hole, and Thomas is now stuck on ice and really struggling to get up it. So it's really hard to follow who's actually first. Well, we know Benoxy's first, so surely nothing goes wrong for him, right? Goes clearly to the other. Yeah, okay, he's fine. Thomas somewhere. Ragnar is there. It's very hard to follow where everybody. Okay, we have a bit of a understanding. Thomas is second, and Hubabibi is third.
I mean, 14 seconds differentiating these players there. That is a dominant difference. And the opportunity there for Hubabibi or Ragnar to be able to come back, but they're still struggling on various different points. It's not like they're just falling down on the ice slide. There are so many challenges for them on this map, and maybe need a little bit more time once more to be able to really secure themselves into it. Because it's not just a perfecting aspect towards it right now. It is that they are going to have to do it perfectly for every single map so far. Even a single point towards Split Academy will give them the 4-0 victory.
Yeah, I was about to check on Ragnar, but he had the similar mistake as to the previous round, and Hubabibi does clip it. Good decision making. Notices that clip and immediately adjusts, so very good by him. But Thomas somehow, oh my god, that was wicked! He clips the wall 360s and lands perfectly onto the booster to go forward. I mean, that was insane. I know.
He meant to do that the whole way.
Yeah, of course it is still an ace for Split Academy, but that was actually kind of cool. He hit the wall, 360'd on the tarmac onto the boosters perfectly, and then took the entire booster to go forward. But I mean, all things aside, it is a match and track point for Split Academy, 12-2, as they move on to the loser bracket final.
Very interesting difference between these two teams, where on CI's map pick, you can see that they were a lot more comfortable. They're 5 points on Frosty, 4 on Vortex. And the maps that they're not 100% sure of, though, struggling completely to take anything off their opponents, only managing a single point on grip and now 2 on off-road. that is a difficult fight for them to try bring it back into this. They got themselves to the lower bracket semifinals, but Split Academy, we saw them at the beginning of the day, and now we get to see them towards the end. They have another chance to take on Molotov in that lower bracket finals, and maybe they've got just enough extra little bit of practice on these maps and a little bit more of an understanding about their opponents as to how they want to approach this next map, but they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it is going to be an uphill battle, but for now at least, Molotov Gaming awaits them right after the break, of course, because we will have a quick intermission while we get the servers and everything set up. And all of the little hamsters working in the background will get us set it up, and we will get back into the match once it is there. So don't go far. Quick little break. Maybe we need to quickly refill, and we will see you right after this little break of ours. Hello there, you beautiful people and fellow Trackmania enjoyers. I know you're back for more exciting stuff. We have another match on our hand. We have the loser bracket final on our hands with a rematch of Molotov Gaming versus Split Academy. A match that was 4-0, but that was probably one of those matches where definitely the scoreline doesn't tell the full tale. And now the question is, do we get map number 5? That is the bet of the day. I kind of wish if there was a mod in Twitch chat, can you put up a Campbell or map 5? I'm quite curious how people would actually rate that. That would be interesting to know. But I know there's people enjoy the Gamba if Molotov Gaming or Split Win.
I mean, we're already sitting the Twitch predictions there, sitting at about 96% towards, or 91 now towards Molotov Gaming, and a fair assessment. You know, Molotov has always done that route through the upper bracket, come up against Foot in that upper bracket finals, drop down, and then beaten out whoever was the challenger at that stage. But a really nice challenger waits for them. Split Academy, previously Let Us Cook, has been a nice up-and-comer there from the Middle East. They've been fighting it hard. That last match that we saw was definitely closer than any of the other series so far today, being able to pick up, you know, besides Vortex, at least 6 points in a map. And that, to me, shows that they're on the verge. It would be interesting to see. And I think the big defining factor for this one is, can this Split Academy manage to take advantage of when Molotov make mistakes? Because previously they weren't able to. We're going to see what our map picks are as we go into our nice ban phase straight away. Speed banned out by our red team. Our red team, of course, being Molotov. I'd be very interested to see if there's going to be a very similar map pool previously, because besides Vortex, Split did well across the board for the ones that they picked.
Well, yeah, but then again, yeah, people are suckers for routine and for routine and tendencies, and we see, well, nothing has changed. Vortex is first pick, but now, at the moment, Split Academy taking a bit of thought here, because previously, of course, they have gone for control and off-road, but they are taking a moment to think about this one. They have, of course, seen Molotov Gaming play as well beforehand, but maybe they're taking a moment to judge grip. So we do alter maybe the order a bit. We have control. Okay, well, that's the same format still, but the order is a bit different. The order is a bit different. But Vortex, grip, control, off-road. But now, what do we get as map number 5? We see that Frosty there. Is it gonna be the map number 5 again? Will it be?
I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was certainly a point where Split Academy handled it very well when they were forced onto it by CI. And so maybe this is the time to force Molotov onto a map that they might not be 100% sure. Unfortunately, for now, still going to be going on to breaking. Frosty going to be our randomly picked 7th map. And instead, it's going to be Airwalk coming up as map number 6. So basically, almost, it is the 7 exact same maps as the previous matchup, just like you said, a slightly different order.
Yeah, it is that Sinuous continues to remain in the mud. It's interesting to see that. Yeah, that it's funny enough, of course, who actually built the map keeps to have that curse all the way through, of course. For those who don't know, Stage 1 map, of course, Gyroscope was built by Scarzor, and Sinuous was built by Scarzor. So 2 out of the 2 times, really, people haven't really taken fond of the maps. I mean, if anything, 3rd time is the charm, but Sinuous is... it is an interesting map, but I wish it would be played more. It's something that a lot of people have discussed, of course, what maps feel more comfortable, but I've touched upon this on the harder version as well, and I feel like it's similar to the easy version, is that there is not much that you can really do on that map. It is a very simple map, technically, and one little mistake on it, and you're completely out, because the identity is, well, I say it is easy, but it is one of the more easy identities, because it's very short on the easy version, so I'm just gonna say it. I mean, back to the drawing board, Scarzor, with that one. 3rd time's the charm, just saying.
I'm very interested as to that mentality, because like you say, Sinuous and something like Speed are both, I don't want to say one-dimensional maps, but certainly don't have as much chaos behind them as something like Control or Frosty. And do you think that that's a big factor for these teams? Why does the maybe technically better team not just pick out the simpler map where they know that they can beat their opponent on speed?
Yeah, it's very hard to say, but of course with Molotov Gaming and Split Academy on Vortex again, we'll see if the history repeats itself. But going back to that topic, it is a very important topic, because the thing with Speed and Sinuous, as we see Thomas having a bit of a quarter pipe moment, it is the case that Sinuous and Speed, the thing is that the important part is to remember that they are simple maps. So are you gonna risk it? You have to be absolutely 100% certain that you can outpace somebody on that map. Otherwise, you might just waste a map pick. So that's why Sinuous and Speed, I feel like, as a map pick, only work for certain teams, because they know in their league that they can pick it. But we see that Ignite having a bit of trouble on the pipes, and overall looking a bit of a warm-up round to start off, but Huso actually looking pretty good up front, so everything to go for.
Well, it's going to be very interesting mentality here. Ignite, in both of the matches that he's come up against this so far, has struggled in those. Huso, a very comfortable start there, but Oxy managing to finish off in second place. Ignite's not far behind them, and Thomas still suffering from that early half-pipe moment, and he only manages to pick up fourth. But I like what you say about the choice of the map picks in terms of go for something with a little bit more variety towards it that might catch up or challenge your opponents, instead of just trying to beat them on pure speed as we go into round number 2.
Yeah, and the round number 2, well, let's see. Do we get the jumps correct this time by every single person? And indeed we do. Penoxy does go for a higher jump, but absolutely flips it on the edge now there as well. So we sort of have a reverse switch of roles for Split Academy. Well, they split the rounds. Last round it was Tomers, this time it's Penoxy. And Tomers has to deny a point here, which he's actually looking to be in a good position.
Ignite's managing to hold this very well. Huso manages to take up that second position. Thomas, it's a tough landing there. Proves difficult for them. At least manages to make up. Oh no! As I say that, the spinner just completely setting him off. He doesn't have to respawn, but he's lost all the pace on this. Huso Ignite going to be able to charge forward to the front lines. Ignite now enters the identity. Huso just behind them. Both of them managed to navigate it absolutely perfectly. And Molotov set themselves up with a very early ace.
Yeah, that is a very similar sight to the previous match they had in the regional. So we do expect that Vortex will be picked up by Molotov Gaming. It has been a pretty comfortable pick for them overall, at least compared to when they go up against other teams. So it is a sort of a guaranteed track point for them, as we see Penoxy having to really have to 3-point turn that checkpoint now as he does hit it. So it leaves again Tomers up front, and he hits the quarter pipe. Somehow hangs on still, but is now putting Huso and Ignite beyond the grasp of catching up at the moment, unless something miraculous happens.
Man, I don't know if it's just the team that they're going up against, but the mentality is completely different in Split Academy. This is, of course, the third time they've seen Vortex here today. They only managed to get 1 point in their previous matchup against Molotov, and then they got 10 versus the 4 points against CI. And there, against CI, they looked comfortable on most of this. It was really only just the pipes that gave them any sort of worry. And here, a very different mentality. We see a Molotov streaking far into the lead. Huso and Ignite both on that identity, make short work of it, and clinch themselves another ace.
Yeah, that is a comfortable round. That's as you would expect going into a good lead. But I feel like if you were in Split Academy position, you would be like, yeah, that's gonna happen. You should expect it to happen. Of course, you give your best to deny the points, but you know, if you know that that's their bread and butter, then I mean, you can bring all the ham and you can bring all the ham, all the lettuce pieces for the sandwich. But if Molotov Gaming are so hungry for the point, they already eat the sandwich with the butter. So you know, they go for it, and it seems that they really want to get this map 1 done.
Man, always. You don't just create stories, you create stories that make me hungry, my friend. And certainly a team that's looking hungry right now. Molotov Gaming into this. Unfortunately, Ignite's going to have to take a doggy bag home, because he is not going to be able to finish off this map with a clean streak, spilling a little bit on himself as Split Academy finally get themselves a really good start here. Even Huso checking in the middle of that has much slower pace into this bobsleigh. And Split Academy, both Benoxy and Thomas charging forwards into this. And they've got a chance to try and ace this up for themselves and get them back into this competition.
Yeah, and Q chat going, surely this will be an ace at this point. Surely, as Thomas hits the corner, I speak already and things start happening. Well, Thomas only has to get it clean through. So all he has to do is get across the pipe, know which way the rotation is, perfectly fine. See, it's chat. Nothing to worry about. It's always gonna be an ace. Nothing you can say in the history of MEA Regional that can prove it otherwise, apart from other rounds that the ace hasn't happened. But this time it did, and Split Academy, 1 round at a time, have to now crawl their way back, and an ace, well, they need to bring out a few more of those.
Yeah, I mean, just 2 more aces, right? That's all it's going to take for Split Academy. And Molotov, though, make a detriment to themselves. A rare double failure from their 2 players, and quite far behind gave Split Academy at least one of those. So Molotov cannot afford to give away. But remember, Molotov only needs to get a victory or better here to secure it right now. Split Academy looking to deny points at every turn that they possibly can. They don't have the great entry into the, or at least the big difference in entry into the bobsleigh that they were able to exploit last time. And so Molotov still managing to hold this front line with such power, but not a lot of gap between them and 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, it's really close still. Thomas does have a bit of an awkward landing, does get a slow speed there. So it is now Molotov Gaming's hands. If they get this clean, this is game, set, and, well, not match yet, but it is a track point, and it is indeed so with an ace on the board. They do take it 11-4. I mean, more points than last time. If you are Split Academy, you look at positives, they got more points than they did in their first encounter. So it's, you know, you cannot have a rainbow without the rain, but at least somewhere there is a rainbow for them, at least.
Yeah, 100%. You know, that growth in them. And this is a team that we were saying is looking to come up into and secure that 3rd position very firmly. And the fact that they've at least gotten up to this lower bracket finals is a good start for them. But Noxy, a slow start going
warm
on
up
here.
Yeah, warm up casting.
Rest, yes, of course. I was thinking we're still on Vortex for a second. I forgot that we ended that round. Man, that was a confusing couple of seconds for me. But of course, we go now on to Grip. And in this Grip match, it was also a decent attempt by Split Academy, managing to pick up 6 points against Molotov. And that is including the number of times that they didn't take full advantage. Now they've got a chance to take advantage. It's Huzo, a rough start.
Yeah, Huzo actually hitting that checkpoint ring, which, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen quite often. Usually you would go too low and miss it. He actually hit the checkpoint, but he hit it the wrong way, not the checkpoint trigger, the checkpoint itself. But all in all, for what Molotov Gaming has, they have Ignite. Ignite always has been a pillar that holds them strong if something does go wrong, and it's looking pretty good for them. Thomas is trying to catch up, but it is a very hard identity to really get time on, unless you really send it and hope that Ignite has a bit of a slip in the end, but he's looking to get it clean and holds on for Molotov Gaming, and that is a round for them. It is a draw, but there is still possibilities for Split Academy to take that map.
That's the thing. Can Split Academy really wait for both of Molotov Gaming to try and drop the map? Unfortunately, this time it doesn't work, and it didn't happen very often previously. Ignite was so consistent on this, and it somehow always worked that when Ignite did drop it, Huzo was there waiting for it. Such strong players in their own rights together, but as a team, a formidable adversary for anyone else. Split Academy straight away drop into those lower positions in terms of just their simple pace through the neutral sections.
Yeah, it is looking quite nice for everybody involved, actually, because no major mistakes have been made. It's simply currently a slight bit of pace difference, but everybody's actually in the mix. Ignite commonly finds himself in first position, but everybody's right there. Huzo does take a bit more penalties, so he does slow down a bit more, but everybody's in a draw position. Who's now willing to push a bit more? Huzo does go for it. I think everybody knows that they kind of have to get this, because otherwise it's not going to be it, and with that, Huzo does just enough to push past Benoxy and get a victory on the board, and that is Molotov Gaming getting that 1-point lead that they have, last time they held on to that 1-point lead on Control for a very long time. Will they do the same on Grip?
Very interesting that where everyone was basically within half a second of each other, and it's that real push that you talk about. It seemed like Split Academy just dropping a little bit further behind. They've got an opportunity here as Huzo has to try and respawn there, but certainly being close enough to challenge might not be enough to secure yourselves the victory. It's not going to be a place where someone like Ignite is going to go out round after round. So Split Academy needs to try and find these extra couple of tenths of a second here or there. It might not be just on the identity. Maybe the identity is a bit late to leave it to go into this, as Ignite once more enters it with the advantage.
Yeah, and Ignite so far absolutely clean cut as they come. Thomas is trying, but it's just not enough of a speed, and the gap is wide enough that it's still gonna be a draw. And Ignite now, 3 rounds in a row, has been simply holding, being the absolute wall that they have been for Molotov Gaming. Nothing to follow or really for Split Academy to really hook onto and take advantage of. They've been splitting Molotov Gaming apart, but they haven't really split Ignite's pace, as Ignite really has been pushing them, and fairly so has been absolutely dominant on this map. But Split Academy definitely showing that they're not gonna give up, because they're so close, and with Huso hitting the side of that wall there, I mean, another opportunity, but Ignite is still there.
And this has been closer in terms of the midfield game between it. Oh no, we talk about that, and Thomas takes a bit of a leap out of the pool there. Certainly not the refreshing dip that he was looking for. It gets Huso back into the match, but it still has to come down to Ignite. He's leading the charge in every one of those, meaning that Split Academy can never take the advantage. They can never take more points. And instead, it just gives himself and Huso, if Huso comes in, there we go, gets Molotov one more towards that difference that's going to make the victory theirs.
Yeah, that is absolutely wonderful. I mean, if you are Huso right now, you're like, God, you do you, Ignite. I'm just gonna do my best, you know, get the rounds going. I mean, you are seeming on fire right now, as Huso does hit the corner. Maybe he was actually talking to his teammate and forgot to turn. But either way, at the moment, Ignite has been looking to pretty much ruin every sort of opportunity that Split Academy have had. But for once, he's actually not in the lead. Will we see a bit of a different result? But we know that Ignite has not made any mistakes. The others are where it has become a difference, but everybody's right there. Absolutely nothing really to separate them.
Incredible how Ignite is able to weave through the center there, just having slightly better lines. It's almost imperceptible about how he's able to make up this small amount of difference. And we enter now into the identity. Thomas nearly loses it at the end. Ignite has to hesitate for just a second, but Oxy going to be able to actually take the first position, but only by 9/1000ths of a second.
Oh, 9/1000ths of a second, but Oxy just pushes a bit more than Ignite. And ladies and gentlemen, this is now on the broil. We're now turning up the heat. It's only 1 point of a difference, and it has been I mean, of course, Ignite has been really good on this, but now we're seeing that Huso also needs to get into the mix, because otherwise that 9/1000th of a second can happen again. And I think, again, Huso is either listening to the stream, or I'm unintendedly Molotov Gaming's coach somehow, because he's in the mix with Ignite, and they're in an ace position looking to get the track point.
This ace position, so temperamental when everyone grouped up like this. We don't really know who's going to be able to hold it, but the identity hasn't claimed too many victims just yet. Instead, Split Academy have been holding very patiently through it. Unfortunately, patience is not going to help them out. Huso and Ignite set this up. Ignite can't be beaten. He is. It is just by now 4/1000ths of a second separates Benoxy and somehow holds Split Academy into this and puts Ignite in third place. Huso finally came to the fore, but it wasn't enough. 1 point, though, will be if Molotov wants to take it here and now.
Yeah, but that is enough. That is still to keep them alive. I know they need an ace now to get it, but it puts the pressure on Molotov Gaming. It was 9/1000ths of a second before. Now it's 4/1000ths of a second. Well, what will we get? Will we get a tied time this time? It's looking to be this way, but at the moment, Molotov Gaming again really in the lead. They just want to get this done and not leave any sort of breadcrumbs or cookies or anything to catch on to, because it's looking like an exact replica of the previous round.
Oh, cannot believe this. And now you can't believe that Huso and Ignite both going to get beaten out here. Benox is a little bit too far behind there. He's still Molotov holding it through the identity. They make a tight run, and they're going to clinch it out with that ace at the end. It was a hard fight, and Split Academy doing even better than the previous time that these two teams met. But still, that extra 1 point not going to be the difference maker, despite what a close finish that was.
Yeah, and Huso having some of the most rougher rounds in the first 4, then in the last 2 absolutely just turned it on. nothing to really came along with Ignite and really put the team where it was supposed to be. Like that's good mentality. Sometimes maybe they're in a call and Ignite is trying to ignite a bit of flame in his teammate, get him going. Like, I know you had a few rough rounds. You got this. Gets a good round and doubles on it as well. So good stuff for Molotov Gaming. And Split Academy also. Again, they are right there. But when it matters, Molotov Gaming just get that fine edge over them. But we get on to Control. Last time we were here, it was an absolute thriller. Will it be now the same, or will Molotov Gaming this time be, well, want to avoid such a close race as it was last time?
Well, Huzo struggles up there onto the edge, but manages to recoup very nicely. Benoxy on the dirt on the way down, going to suffer, unfortunately, and has to respawn. Our first casualty of Control. Ignite really charging ahead. Huzo, not a great jump into the bobsleigh, but manages to recover well enough. Does at least give up that position to Thomas to be able to try and fight it out with Ignite. But so far, both of these two looking strong through this. Our final identity, the thing that has separated so often these two teams. Ignite gives it up at the end. Thomas going to be able to win it out. And Ignite, at best he can try and hope for, is third. He doesn't even manage to secure that. It is going to be a victory for Split Academy.
Yeah, a bit of fresh air. I do believe in the first iteration when they played, it was Molotov Gaming who went in front, not Split Academy. So a bit of fresh of breath air for Split Academy. They have something that they don't get often, which is a lead in front of Molotov Gaming. Of course, Benoxy has a nose slide and has to adjust accordingly, but it is looking pretty good. But we'll have to see how the rest of the round goes. But it's definitely Control between these two teams looking to be as spicy as ever. I'm gonna be honest, it's looking pretty good again, and we might get some really weird and wild results.
And it certainly feels like Split Academy has tried to push the pace a little bit more. They have been so tightly knit with the Molotov Gaming players that it is anyone's game until these last moments, and does certainly open up more opportunity for mistakes to happen when everyone is forced to drive that little bit faster. Huzo looking so comfortable right now as we go just into the identity. Thomas just behind it. Ignite once more. Tries to take a slightly more inside line. Doesn't get a great touch there. Huzo makes it across the line, and Ignite sneaks in to secure the ace just at the end.
It is that is exactly what you want. That this identity does lend itself to that risk, and if you're willing to risk it for the biscuit, you can get rewarded. And Ignite, in that case, definitely went for it and got justly rewarded as well. Now 4-2 ahead, so that nice fresh of breath air is substituted with an ace by Molotov Gaming. So again, it could have been anyway. Of course, I do believe it was Benoxy who had a bit of a rougher time with the bobsleigh, but it is only the first two rounds, and Thomas has a nose slide as well, has to completely reverse his lines and go into very uncomfortable position, and Benoxy hits the wall on the inside, and it's looking to be a bit of a doom and gloom for Split Academy, but they have been persevered through matches, but it is looking that Molotov Gaming should be getting the ace for this match.
Yeah, both of them nicely through that bobsleigh, managing to hold their pace so well. Neither one looking uncomfortable, and they certainly seem to be only getting more comfortable as these rounds have been progressing, being able to refine it. Huzo not the best check on that line, still gives some space, but his teammates far ahead. Huzo has a horrible launch off. They're going to try and bounce his way through it. Nope, not going to be enough, unfortunately. Molotov give up that ace and instead have to settle with just a draw.
Yeah, so it is a bit unfortunate. Of course, the checkpoint or the respawn would have been absolutely tragic for him. So Huzo was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'll just leap of faith into it, see what happens. Almost actually could have done it, but now he hits the corner on the inside. And now actually Split Academy. Now, these are the rounds that we talked about in the previous time. When Molotov Gaming do have a mistake, they have to take advantage of this. And if they get an ace here, that would be marvelous. But for now, Thomas gets a bit of an awkward landing, but still in the mix, so looking still good.
What's interesting about Control is that even those inopportune landings, those unperfected lines that they've got, not really the differentiating factors most of the time. It comes up to these big aspects of it. Something like the bobsleigh, where Thomas still holding strong. But Benoxy and Ignite coming out with a little bit more pace, manages to secure that first position. Still 5 seconds behind is Huzo, so it could be a draw if Ignite manages to hold this last jump well. Gets up high. In fact, there's going to have to be a respawn. Tom is the only one left in this. Benoxy out a little bit. Sorry, Thomas was the one who had to respawn, and that costs him. Huzo makes up the time, and Ignite does better than a draw, manages to get an extra point and puts Molotov Gaming now in an ace position.
Yeah, it is track point looming in the distance. It is 7-4. With the scoreline at the moment, technically, you know, 2 aces on the board for Split Academy, and it's perfectly set up for them, at least mathematically. But they do have to get it actually done. But overall, it's looking still a pretty close match. It's like we really cannot be absolutely certain until somebody actually lands after the identity to be sure that they actually get the point. So, you know, the tension is high all the way on, even after the landing, because even that can be a bit rocky and topsy-turvy.
And that really is the thing that Split Academy is not being able to take advantage of. You said that they need to use whenever Molotov goes out, and especially if Molotov goes out early in this map, they need to be able to hold their nerve throughout the rest of it and try and secure those aces when they happen. But it doesn't look like this is going to be one of those times. In fact, this could be the end if Molotov's able to hold it. Benoxy holding first position, gets a decent touch, lands first, gonna be able to try get through, and just ahead, 300ths of a second behind Ignites, less than 600ths in front of Huzo. But Benoxy at least keeps them alive. That could have very easily gone the other way completely.
Well, that's a proper saved moment there. That could have gone absolutely the complete other way. So holding a Split Academy alive at the moment. The boat is still up above the water and not sinking yet, but an ace would definitely help to alleviate some of the water that has come on board. But for now, it's still pretty clean all across the board. Benoxy does slightly fall behind, but I mean, it's still looking rather comfortable for Molotov Gaming, but we've seen how comfortable things have been, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone.
And it just comes down to those intense last-second decisions or lines that they manage to run through. Huzo loses a bit of pace there, leaves it still in that second position, though, for this Molotov Gaming side. They're looking comfortable, but the last-second decision, the one that has defined it all throughout this entire series, gonna come out as a draw.
Oh, it's again, it looks... like I said, we don't know anything. We literally have to wait for everybody to land to understand who's gonna win, because the finish line is literally right there. Literally right there. So we literally are gonna have to quickly look to the top left and see who's actually winning.
That's what I'm doing through each of these rounds. I pause just before there, because there is no way to cast our way through there. There's no way to predict as they come down. Sometimes even when that launch looks so good, it comes out in a completely different storyline, especially when these 4 players are so close together. Now another chance. Ignite, the only one from Molotov leading the charge. Huzo, a bit of a rough time. The Split Academy needs that. They have got to try and get themselves the ace if they want to stay alive for any amount of time longer. It's still not going to secure them the victory. They've got to do whatever it takes right now to be able to bring this back. Ignite slowly losing the tempo a little bit, but has pulled it back. A very quick finish for him. He just must not mess up this final line now, and it doesn't look like he has.
He has! He respawned!
Oh, he has!
And it's an ace for Split Academy! Ignite had a rough landing and he has to completely fully respawn. It's 9-9, and oh my goodness, a control! What is today with control, Ultrism? It's proving to be an absolute thriller today. And we are 9-9, and if it's a draw, it's another overtime on control. Oh, for the love of God, please, please, at least somebody put somebody out of their misery. If it's gonna go to overtime, I mean, Molotov Gaming already know actually how it is to play this map on overtime, but God forbid, are we gonna see another one?
But what do you mean, God forbid, man? As a caster, this is the best thing that we could have asked for, and I'm sure the crowd is also cheering for how intense this is. Control haunting Molotov as we've been going through this. They've got themselves into a better start here. They would love to clinch it out straight here, straight now. Split Academy still holding so close. It comes down once more. Bobsled handled well by all of the players. Binoxia a little bit further behind than anyone else, but not far enough behind that it's going to make any difference, as our identity once more going to be separating this and defining the entire match.
And Thomas has a really bad entry into this. If Huso gets this clean, it's done for. But Huso is the side, so now it allows for Split Academy to get this. Can they land? Binoxi's in the water! No! If Huso gets this, this is over. Oh no, it's the water. The pool strikes again. Oh no. Oh, it could have been a draw for them. Oh, that's another. Good God, Control is the biggest heartbreak since my last breakup with my girlfriend. Oh my goodness. Oh, my heart can't take it, Altruism. I've seen so much heartbreaks here. I don't even have words anymore.
I can't believe this. I honestly thought that was going to be Molotov giving it away. They were so close the whole time against Foot. And now we get ourselves to a 9-9 between these two teams. Molotov just managed to eke it out despite their travesty near the end. But Splits give it up once more. They could have used this as their opportunity to bring it back, fight valiantly, and take a map in their favor. Unfortunately, now they're on series point. The first 3 maps going to Molotov Gaming, and it goes down to Off-Road. This is back to Split Academy's map pick, but it could have been a different series completely.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Thomas does hit the reset block. I mean, again, Control, I mean, at this point, it's basically, if Control is going to be played, get your grandma, your family, any relative you have nearby, get them on the Control, get them to that map at that point. That's produced some of the most insane rounds and insane things. But we're on Off-Road as Binoxi does slide out, Huso does, but does catch it. And it is a map pick by Split Academy, but Molotov Gaming also have been pretty good on this map, and they're looking to get the ace here. But it's it's very tough pill to swallow for Split Academy, and I don't know if again it becomes to the point that can you shake it off after such a round that could have been yours. But now it's goes into an ace of all things, even more insult, more salt to the wound a bit on your own map pick as well.
Yeah, no, I must admit, that comes down to the difference between some of these top-level talents, is how well you got the mental fortitude to be able to shake it off. It doesn't matter that you lost the last round. It doesn't matter that there's an ace against you now. You've got to just start each lap as if it's completely fresh and play it as well as you can. Keep that consistency. Molotov so far, the team with more consistency, and especially led by Ignite. He has been fantastic the whole way through there. But for now, Split Academy still very much in this map. They've got to worry about those trees, though. Those trees, kind of like Control, have the ability to differentiate everything, and the ice slide as well changes so much, but not in terms of the position now. Molotov still holding position 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're looking like they want to get this match done and dusted pretty early. Split Academy are there to hopefully get a few tree huggers along the way, and there's Huso. Bye-bye. And it is a draw. God, that was perfect timing as always. I mean, but of course, I'm not trying to put ill will on Molotov Gaming. I'm just a caster who wants to go to map 7 still. I have Hopium in supply. There's tanks of Hopium next to me. It's literal a warehouse in front of me, constantly hoping that one team gets us to map 7. But so far, I mean, it worked for that round at least.
It has been a day of 4-0 sweeps, and it would be so nice to get to see a little bit more Trackmania action, especially considering the level that both of these teams are bringing right now. The intensity of this. Look at this. Everyone separated by a 200th of a second. Now up to 300s. There's a little bit more hard landings. Catch some players by behind. Tom is the one suffering the most, but he might be able to make it up in the ice slide. He and Binoxi take it very high. Binoxi actually going to completely slide out there. And Thomas manages to regain this, but not nearly as well as our Molotov players. In these races, really dominating the front lines here, consistently through here. Huso has struggled the most out of anyone on the field with these trees, but makes no mistake this time and gets another ace right up to track point and series point for Molotov Gaming.
It is a 7-1 scoreline, and it is It is looking rather comfortable at the moment. I mean, the only ever time I've seen a deficit like this being brought back was it took a Grand League team to do it. I do believe it was Big who played an EU Regional once because for once, and they actually did. They were like 6 to 7 points behind, and they just aced 3 times in a row. But it would require a TMGL level performance. But as I say that, look who's in front. Look who's in front, but it's Ignite. And oh no, of course, as soon as I say that, Thomas has to fully respawn. Huso is there as well, and it's a draw position at the moment, which could be coming a victory for Molotov.
Such a consistent player is Ignite, and being able to hold this right now. Thomas all the way down into 4th position, and all he can hope for is that Huso does check into a tree. But Benoxy, the important one here for Split Academy, he's first, and now he's not. He's gone completely off the track. That is devastating for Split Academy. They had the opportunity to at least force a draw for this round, but they give away the ace, and Thomas just sadly sitting in the car. GGs are called. Molotov, for the 2nd time today, managed to take it in a 4-0 over Split Academy.
Yeah, in some ways it was a lot closer than the first match, but in the end, again, that control... Oh, that's gonna haunt Split Academy until the very end. That has happened now twice in the same day for them as well. I mean, hey, prats to them. They gave it their all, but again, yeah. It's very hard to come back. And I mean, if it happens now twice in a row today, basically on the same map as well, it's a tough loss to take. But hey, they gave it their all. I mean, Split Academy have looked very good all across the board, but and still giving Molotov Gaming a fight. And pretty good fight, but in the end, the Camel's back was broken, and off-road really just didn't go their way. And Molotov Gaming, as the pillar of consistency, when they do want to have it, they take it 10-1, and it's 4-0 and into the grand final today.
It was nice to see Split Academy's improvements throughout. You know, they improved by 3 points on Vortex, 1 on grip. They brought control down to an absolutely nail-biting finish. And it's nice to see them at least have some places where they can fight neck and neck with some of these top teams. And I mean, if you consider that Molotov versus Foot on control was also an intense fight all the way through, that kind of means that everyone in this region... Control is the map that you talk about when it comes to who is going to be defining themselves by it. But a growth mentality has come out from Splits, and that has been so good to see. The fact that they can shake it off and come back and fight. The fact that they came into this just looking for that wild card ticket. Now they're sitting themselves in a very comfortable 3rd position. And it'll be good to see what they can do in the next regional that's going to be coming up in a few weeks' time. But for today, we have 1 match left to go. It is going to be that grand finals, Foot versus Molotov, the rematch that we see week by week, month by month. And Foot's going to be looking to make it a 5th regional win in a row.
Yeah, it is the case in point, but we still have 1 more break to go. The grand final of the breaks is to come to go into the grand final of the MEA Regional number 2. So don't go too far. We'll be right back with the final action for the regional. Welcome back for one final time today. MEA Regional number 2, day number 2 is coming to a conclusion right now with the grand final between Molotov Gaming and Foot Esports. Name a more iconic duo in a grand final. It's very hard to find one, but it is MEA Regional Classic Special that we have our hands on tourism. And I mean, we did see them play already, and it came to, again, a nail-biter as well. I know Foot Esports had some pretty convincing rounds on the maps, but Control. I mean, we already mentioned this. Can we just have 7 maps of Control? I think everybody would be perfectly fine with that.
Maybe by the end of it, there's going to be people who can make it throughout the entire map without jumping off there, because it really has been chaotic. Every single person struggling at some stage with these jumps, whether it's getting into the bobsleigh perfectly or just that final hurdle that they all have to get past. It is, of course, going to be a fun one to watch if we do see it come up. And I would be heartbroken to see it banned as we do head into our pick and ban phase right now. Frosty could be interesting, and certainly not the only tough fight there for Foot to try and take. Vortex was a decent attempt, and Breaking was another good one. But Frosty, oh man, burned out straight away, unfortunately.
It is a permaban.
It's a permaban. Gotta be.
Is. But off-road to start us off, so maybe they see, like, I think it's actually a good pick by Foot Esports, because they just saw off-road looked really tough for Split Academy at the moment, and they were like, sure, we'll take you on it. Let's see, can you bounce back from that map as well? So it's definitely well, actually, what am I talking about? This is not Split Academy. I'm still living in the past. Match Ultrism. God forbid, this is Molotov Gaming. Molotov Gaming looked pretty good on that map. I mean, what am I? I'm still living in the past, man. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, what is going to be an interesting blast from the past? Control going to be coming out straight away. Obviously, we do see that Molotov wants to take another crack at it. They did so well at it previously. They want to go back there. Breaking and Vortex, the other two very standard maps. And so basically the exact same 4 first maps that we see. And then we head into a pretty standard rest of it group coming up as map number 5.
Yeah, but where do we go from here? Of course, it is the case that we would, in order to see all the rest of the maps, we do need to go further than 4 maps today, which we haven't yet today. But I mean, it's been writing in the cards. It's been there. It has had the possibilities to happen. It has had the possibility to happen almost in every single match. But now, the question is, where do we get the map? Of course, like I've said before, Molotov Gaming usually have been able to take 1 map away from Foot Esports, and what better time to do it than in the grand final, to be honest.
Yep, I mean, that is a big differentiating factor, is can they take more than 1 map? I mean, so far, I think Foot, if my maths is right and my memory is right, have only dropped 4 maps in the entirety of these regional stage 1 and 2 combined. Airwalk going to be coming up as map number 6, and Sinuous, the interesting one that we would go to if this does come down to a match number 7. Unlikely considering history, but Molotov looking good across the board today, still with some mistakes that they need to fix up, and would like to do better than 5 points on any of the other maps except for Control, and that is going to be the starting factor. Get map 1 down, get map 2 ready, and the fact that we're going to be going to off-road and then Control straight away could give some momentum to Molotov to try and start the rest of their series.
Yeah, but the important aspect, of course, is like if we want to get any performance, if I look at Molotov Gaming, the rounds where Huso and Ignite had on grip, the last 2 where they looked absolutely clean as ever, that's what they need to be looking for. If they can get that going for them, they can give Foot Esports a good run for their money, because we know Foot Esports have also made a few mistakes then and there, and that's where they need to capitalize on. And if they can drive clean, then there's at least opportunity to grab 1 point per minimum, and that is always the most important aspect. Just to keep the point score going, you really don't want to see much. But of course, as you can see on your screens, it is the grand final with Foot Esports represented by Birdie and Chemku and Molotov Gaming with Ignite and Huso. Last 10 seconds of warm-up on this map. The last time we will see it today, at least. For today, at least. I'm sure we will see that map come and go for the next regionals. But here we go. The grand final of the MEA Regional number 2 is underway with Foot Esports and Molotov Gaming. Let it be one of the matches ever in a good way.
It'll be very nice to see this. I want to see everyone bringing their absolute best here. I want to see more of our matches separated by thousandths of a second to differentiate these two teams. It doesn't seem like that's going to start Huso off to a rough clip off that outside edge. Of course, Ignite still very much in the action. Tmwt managing to pull away with a beautiful burst of speed there, navigating each of these very cleanly for Foot Esports. They obviously want to try and clinch it out straight away. Birdie, a hard knock on the pillar, or at least on the light bulb. And that sets him off a little bit harder of an entrance into the ice slide, giving him a little bit worse of a distance behind Ignite and Tmwt.
They are quite evenly spaced out at the moment. Everybody's sort of half a second behind one another, and it's looking quite clean for everybody. Yeah, everybody gets it. It's pretty much everybody has a nice gentlemanly agreement. Half a second distance, you know, to keep still spacing around and keep it nice and clean. And yeah, it is still a Foot Esports victory, but definitely apart from that one a little mishap by Huso, overall looked pretty clean. And now, okay, now that I remember it, Birdie did have a bit of a moment before that checkpoint, so you know, dismiss all of that. Overall, pretty nice round.
I mean, besides those tiny little things, right? Everyone fights it out in terms of what Trackmania is really supposed to be at the highest level. Getting your lines perfectly, getting your techniques down to the point where you're able to shave every millisecond off that you possibly can. And Tmwt doing the best job of that so far. The most confident looking player so far on off-road, as we see once more. Everyone still in the fight, and anyone could drop out at any stage. That's going to be Birdie, it seems. A little bit too much of a slide takes him out into 4th place. And it means that Molotov at least able to secure the draw, but they've got to try and track down Tmwt by quite a decent margin, still half a second behind.
Yeah, but that's basically raid boss level there. Tmwt is probably the worst, well, I would say the worst opponent to go up against, as Huso does touch the inside wall. Does he make the jump? Barely, but does get it. Tmwt is probably the worst opponent to go up against because he has absolutely insane pace. Like, if he's on it, he can, like I said before, he can give a run for their money even for some of the best EU regional teams. And on the leaderboards as well, like, he's really at the top on some of the maps. Like, I do believe he actually holds one of the world records as well on one of the easy versions, so it's a very hard opponent to really topple, and we see it here as well. Like, Tmwt is just having a fun time, and Birdie is also in the mix. Doesn't have the best transition there, but it's basically Tmwt versus Ignite. The only difference is that Tmwt is still half a second in front, and Birdie is there to maybe get Ignite if he makes some mistakes, but it's not gonna happen. But it's at the moment, it's pretty much Tmwt running the show here.
Like you say, raid boss levels, and that is an impressive title and an impressive reputation to have behind you. The fact that everyone's just waiting for you to make one of the rare mistakes and then try and change this order of the series around. But so far, Tmwt looking absolutely flawless, never making a check, never really giving up any sort of unnecessary time. And even when he starts in the middle of the pack, it just takes a few seconds for him to get back into that first position as he does right now. Birdie on his tail. Ignite still wanting to fight it out. Huso just off the track, but Tmwt, there is the rare mistake that everyone's been waiting for.
Oh, but that now sets up a lot of pressure on Birdie, who hasn't had the best time throughout this map. He's able to be in always hold on the 3rd position to keep it going, but now he has to actually get 1st position, otherwise they're gonna lose some valuable points here. And Molotov Gaming, they are not far behind. Their Ignite is literally on the spoiler of Birdie. And if Birdie has a little bit of a hiccup there, as we see here, Ignite already taking advantage of it. They're neck and neck, but who's willing to push this part here? Ignite is first, and with more speed, he does take it. Molotov Gaming actually taking advantage of the situation. Of course, they would have loved an ace to go into the lead, but you know, you take what you can, and that is exactly what they need to. When it comes, you need to make advantage of it. And 6-5 the scoreline, well, we're keeping it rather close.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of how we're expecting this whole thing to go, right? Foot's taking first and third, Molotov second and fourth. And when a single person down, especially Chemko, gets knocked out of that and goes down to fourth position, it was really nice to see at least everyone from Molotov holding on well enough to be able to move the entire roster up by a position and use that to get themselves a point back into it. Fortunately, they're going to need that a couple of times. Huzo losing pace on the walls there means that it's still that fight for first place. It comes down to Ignite. Chemko once more into the lead. Ignite in second place, but tussling with Birdie for that position. And Birdie comes out of the ice slide way better and gives Foot the opportunity to secure themselves an ace and really lock this down.
Yeah, that would take them to 9-5, and it's looking rather promising for them as this time no tree hugger community involved, as we have an ace for Foot Esports. 9-5 will be the scoreline, and now, well, Molotov Gaming actually have to ace to just keep this match alive, because any other result will mean that Foot Esports take their first track point. And I feel like maybe not as easily as they first would have thought. Definitely Molotov Gaming, and what we have praised Ignite for as well. Ignite has been a very good asset for Molotov Gaming, and definitely has been keeping them up and sailing, and he's really pushing Foot Esports to the line. And if Huso also gets involved, then it's really hard times actually.
Yeah, I mean, we've given so much credit to Chemko for how much he's leading this region, but Ignite is right there with him and has been for almost every one of these rounds so far. So it's very exciting to see that. Chemko slides out. We're going to see a big difference coming out there. Ignite, of course, straight on the tail. And it means that as long as he doesn't clip his tree going through any of this, there could be the opportunity. Huzo is still quite far behind, but he's tussling it out with Birdie for that second place. And he would love to be able to try and clinch this out there. Ignite finishes us off. Birdie makes his way through the trees. And so it is enough. Foot's going to pick up the 1 point. But that just comes down to the fact that they were able to clinch out that ace in the later rounds.
Yeah, but that was a bit of a, you sort of gotta let it steam out of, the usual, whew, I was a bit closer than it should have been, I would say, if I was Foot Esports. But still, they managed to hold on. Birdie, as much as Chemku is the leading pacemaker, Birdie still is a very formidable opponent. He's a very good driver in his own right, and definitely shows that when it matters, he's still able to hold on and keep the Foot Esports dream alive. But we go on to Control. And last time they went into an absolutely insane overtime. Will Foot Esports be able to, will Molotov Gaming or Foot Esports be able to take it more comfortably? We'll just have to wait and see.
I mean, this has been a very interesting difference in mentality coming out here. Molotov being pushed even by the people coming up behind them, being Split Academy. They've had to increase their pace, and they've done well to do so. They went from 3 points previously on off-road to 7, and they were only just shy on Control. So if they can do it here and now, they could actually win this, and maybe even by a decent margin, taking up first and second and third place. Birdie dropping all the way back. Chemko is the one who has to try and lead this, just keep Foot in the lead, or at least just hold this out for a draw. But it is our identity, once more, that always determines things, or at least so often determines who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, and everybody is basically hunting down Chemku. Chemku does get it clean enough. I do believe this is the order we're gonna get to the line. It is gonna be a draw. Huso does get a bit closer, but at that point Chemku did have a really good jump and holds on to the draw. And it seems to be at least that these teams want to have another thriller here, or at least, as far as I know, at least the script for MEA Regional really has big Control to be one of the maps of the tournament, because it's looking to be another nail biter to come.
Once more, everyone's so closely grouped up, going through the standard hurdles. managing to get up onto the high ground. Huzo the one to take that first position. He's been struggling on a couple of these maps, but when he really fires off, he does so well. Backed up by Ignite in the background. It is still a first position. What looks to be third, held by Molotov.
But it is so close again. Look at this. It's 2 rounds in a row. Okay, well, as soon as I expected birdie, he's fallen a bit more further behind. But again, similar style to the previous round for the top 3. They're hunting down the main man up front. Can they get him this time? It's looking promising, but is it enough? It is! Oh. By 13 thousandths of a second. Huso does it and does get Molotov Gaming in the lead on the line, and there it is. I mean, Control is the MVP of this season. I mean, it's. I don't care what. I don't even care what the next of the rounds are coming. It's been absolute pleasure, no matter who goes on this map, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's really nice to see. It's not just the Ignite show. Huzo proving that he's here and a valuable member of this team. Manages to secure that first position despite Chemko being so close behind him. And it is going to be another tight tussle. Huzo back into first position. Ignite actually holding up second. Chemko fighting it out, but he's dropped to fourth. Unfortunately, Birdie, the one that's in this. It can all be a big change up right here, right now. Birdie again, a little bit slower. Huzo does check the wall a little bit, but not enough to be able to slow down his pace. And as long as this Molotov Gaming side is able to hold through this identity, they have a good chance of getting themselves an ace and a big chance to upset the foot dominance. And there it is. Birdie has to reset.
Oh my goodness, it's finally happened. The ghosts in the closet are looking to be scared off at the moment as Molotov Gaming, after that devastating loss in that first match on this map, looking to absolutely say, Foot Esports, yeah, you got that one, but we're gonna absolutely now bring you down to earth on this map. But again, it is Foot Esports and we cannot count them out, and it is 2-6, but we've seen plenty of things happen in the identity. But looking for both teams to be an absolute nail-biter to the end, and anything again can happen on this map. But so far, Birdie and Chemku really having the tough time of their lives. Probably the toughest they've been ever pushed so far, at least during this regional.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, who would it be besides Molotov Gaming being able to come out there? The bobsleigh changes almost nothing. Huzo finds the inside corner, making it a very dangerous position for Molotov and their lead. But Birdie gonna find himself in a treacherous position. Hits into that checkpoint timer, and in the very front line, Huzo versus Chemko. It is actually Ignite who takes first place.
Oh my god, Huzo. Chemko had a flip on the identity and Huso almost actually took his position. Oh my god, he got lucky there. I'm gonna say honest, Chemko got absolutely lucky that he flipped the right way around there. I mean, it is wicked, but after that he touches the wall as well, and now it's all up on Birdie. And if Molotov Gaming looking to absolutely take this map with absolute burning sensation here, and it's looking really good for them. Birdie now really has to pull his weight here to deny Molotov Gaming, but they are smelling blood in the water, Ultrism. They really feel that they got this map, really grabbing it by the horns here.
Even there, Chemko losing a little bit more time, and you can see the passion. I didn't write down the times previously when these two teams met, but it feels so much faster between them. Everyone pushing to the limits right now. Birdie trying to hold on to this first place, deny Molotov their win right here, but it could come down to cost them. It all comes down to the identity. One more. Chemko far enough back that he's not going to be a factor in here. Can Ignite be able to take this? Across the line, it is Birdie just being able to get through there. 400ths of a second. 1 point goes to Molotov. It gets him 1 point closer, but Foot stays alive for now.
Yeah, but now they are in a position where a single mistake and it's done. They have to be flawless now. Ace is the only thing they can do, and they really have to hope that, Molotov Gaming, that Molotov cocktail absolutely combusts before anything. But at the moment, Huso does touch the wall, so it puts Ignite in a position to take this. But Ignite really pushing Foot Esports and Chemko and Birdie. I mean, Ignite has to finish second. That is the only thing he needs.
Yeah.
Foot have to ace. That's the only result they can keep this match alive.
Both players from Foot have to race this absolutely perfectly. Huso's not even that far behind, so it could make a difference. Ignite still holding that second place. In fact, Huso trying to come in with that tighter angle, still checks himself out of it and may have made it even harder. It all comes down to Ignite. Ignite can finish this, secure Molotov their first victory over for today, and he should be able to do it. He goes up, he goes down. He doesn't just manage to secure a point. They get all three.
Oh my goodness sake, they absolutely demolished Foot. I mean, that was absolutely insane. Like, Foot Esports really struggled on that map, and this time, what did we say? Molotov Gaming needed to take advantage of it, and this was the perfect example. When Foot Esports were struggling, Molotov Gaming absolutely knife to the throat, took no prisoners, and went 4-12 on that pick, which means today, in the grand final, we will be seeing map number 5, so it won't be a 4-0 series. You're welcome, everybody in Twitch chat. So let's see, where do we go here? We do go on to breaking, which didn't go so well for Molotov Gaming, so maybe we do have to come back down to earth for a moment. But, I mean, elations aside, Molotov Gaming, I will say that was impressive, as Birdie forgets how to steer at the start. Ignite is also at the starting point. I feel like there might be
a pause.
There might be a pause incoming, yeah, because something really happened, or really everybody forgot that acceleration is a thing. But people are driving. I don't have in-game chat, of course, open for the sake of for viewing concerns, of course. But I don't know what exactly happened in this round, so I'm as confused as probably everybody in chat at the moment. But Huso slows down. Birdie is still at the start. I don't know what. Can you fill us in? Can you check in-game chat if there is? But I feel like it is a pause that is being called, because this seems that there's some issues at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So the players have at least come to cohesion that they're not racing this properly. They're having to sort some stuff out. We're not 100% sure exactly what's happening, but there has been a pause called, and Foot may be just going to be using this time to reset their mentality. I mean, they were pushed hard by Molotov. They were pushed hard on off-road. They were pushed even to breaking point on control. And Molotov have got so much momentum behind them right now. And you can see the difference that it made. I mean, Foot is not a team that's used to being pushed like that. And there were mistakes coming out the whole way through there. Birdie had a couple of checks midway through the match. That Dentist at the end was pushing Chemko to the limit. Even Chemko at the beginning had some moments where he just didn't look very comfortable. And so if Molotov can keep that going, then this could be a very interesting match and a very interesting rest of the series.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely... I mean, if there was any way to convincingly take your map pick, that was the way to do it with Foot Esports as well. I mean, Chemko had a really rough time. He probably made more mistakes in that one map that he's probably made throughout the day, to be honest. I mean, he was having a really tough time. Maybe that pressure, you know, it is sort of the case where you always wonder what happens when you put some of the best players under some of the most highest pressure ever. Like, sometimes these top players really get like a comfortable win. They are in their comfort zone. They really don't have to think about much. But what happens when it does go wrong? So, you never know. Never know.
Man, it still makes it more entertaining for us, right? To see these challenges come out. And the fact that Molotov haven't really threatened Foot up until this point, either in stage 1 or now in stage 2, this is an exciting opportunity. This is an exciting development for the region. Because I don't know about you, but I find in any esport, even in just traditional sports, if you have a rival, someone who's right there next to you the whole way through, it makes you play better.
Yeah.
It makes you have to develop your skills more. And especially having a moment of weakness like that, and a defining moment of weakness like a 4 versus 12 scoreline for Foot, may make them actually come back, revitalize their passion, and push even harder for the future.
I mean, that is what has been always the case. I'm sure Molotov Gaming have been dreaming of this. They've been always trying to push towards the goal of beating Foot Esports. They have not been able to do so throughout the stages, but if there's any a time to do it, I mean, I've said this before as well. As time goes on, the more time you give the other teams to catch up to you. And I feel like at the moment Molotov Gaming are at this position as we get back into the match. For those who are curious, Huso had a bit of a guest that came by, so he had to really quickly answer it. So, you know, people are so joyous of that win that they are coming in through the doors to celebrate with him. But either way, we're back on breaking. I mean, I feel like at this point the momentum is in such a swing that it could go any way, and Lugo's in front. Molotov Gaming are really not allowing Foot Esports to have any sort of breather, but the ice birdie just casually goes past Huso as we go into this section. But that aside, it's looking really good to start off at least.
Beautifully handled by Birdie, I must admit. But of course, Ignite, the one you've always got to beat out of this Molotov side, has been doing such a stalwart job in the front lines. Huso retakes the second position, and Chemko very far behind. Birdie got to be able to fight this out. The last little bit, he does manage to sneak inside for that second place. In fact, he manages to get all the way up to first. Ignite drops off at the last second.
Oh, that's a round you really don't want to give away.
No.
He was right there. I didn't catch it because I was trying to get a good overview of everybody, but I believe if I had to go by experience, I think Ignite clipped the wheel on the edge and knew that he wouldn't have enough speed to jump up to the finish. So, that's a really unfortunate. You know, of course, he was pushing really good there, but just a bit too much. But we see Birdie does find himself a bit behind, and Ignite also a bit further behind. So it is actually Huso and Chimku who are up in front. But again, anybody's game on this map, it feels like at this point. Everybody doesn't really know. I don't really know who to put where, because it's a bit of a topsy-turvy as everybody needs to calm down. Nice 360 by Huso. Not the map to do it, that would be Frosty, but nice try either way.
It was an assisted 360 by that inside pillar. Certainly not what he was calculating for, but it does put him further down. Still, Ignite's made up some good time. He's challenging Chemko. Chemko is still at least far enough ahead that he's feeling confident. Birdie also managing to sneak inside a little bit more cheekily just before the end here. And it means Birdie actually going to be lapped by a very fine margin, just 17 thousandths of a second. It gives it away, and Ignite at least brings back 1 point. But you got to feel that this should be a level game right now.
I mean, yeah, but it has been rounds that it could have gone either way. So this is, as much as Foot Esports are in a 4-2 lead, I mean, I wouldn't feel really comfortable at the moment, because it has been really going back and forth. So, I mean, ideally you would love to get like an ace on the board, you know, just to get a really commanding lead and just put yourself in comp and be like, oh, goddamn, we're at least 5 points ahead now. At least we don't have to really have to worry about it. But again, Molotov Gaming really putting Foot Esports through the paces, but now it seems that Foot Esports have had enough.
Yeah, they go into the ice slide in first and second. They get a really nice line throughout. They'd come out with some decent speed, and Molotov trying to narrow this gap, but this has been what we saw when the first time these two teams matched up earlier, was Foot seemed to be better in the entirety of it. As long as there's no mistakes made, they've got better lines. They've got some really nice reads out of the corner. Ignite, though, not one to be denied. In fact, Huso also going to make a little bit of an insult there. Birdie getting taken out at the last second, forces a draw. And Molotov not going to be going down without a fight at any stage.
Yeah, it's too close. I mean, it's just they don't want to give up. Like, they got the taste of victory and they want more of it. And they are really not letting Foot Esports really claim any foothold here. Yes, it is 2 points, but, you know, one bad mistake and with an ace for Molotov Gaming, it just sweeps to the other side. So the story is still to be written, but we'll have to see, as Chemku, at least on this map, has woken up a bit more than he did on the previous one.
Chemko looking really good in first position. Birdie still struggling a little bit to hold out Molotov completely. But a better line comes out from the Molotov players to be able to come through there. Huso Nice way to try and force himself back into it. Unfortunately, loses it at the very end, putting him now in a very dangerous position. This isn't like Control. There's not these last-minute gasp things that you can hope for, at least with any sort of consistency. Unfortunately, dropping into 4th position leaves it all up to Ignite. We're still trying to fight it out there. Birdie, it seems, takes a rough turn, and it is going to be Huzo. Once more, Birdie at the end of these tracks, just giving it away.
Yeah, but it is at the moment, this is where the team mentality comes in, the dynamic, you know. It's like the I got you, homie mentality. It's like Birdie has been having a bit of trouble, but the Chemku is like, okay, you know, it's okay, you can enjoy a few rounds as we see Huso have a bit of a hop and a pop, and he needs to respawn. I don't know if he can actually make it. That's going to be one of the most slowest approaches to that reset block, probably. But yeah, Birdie has been having a bit of a rougher time on this map, but his teammate has been saying, you know, it's alright, you know, get into the match, I'll just quickly get a few first places, and we're all good in the hood. Don't even have to worry about it, and it's looking like the same formula at the moment. And I mean, sometimes you just need that round, you know, if it's not going your way, it's nice to have your teammate to just cover for you, to be honest.
I mean, that's the real strength about Foot, right? Is there's always going to be at least one player that you can rely on. And Chemko has been that so far for Foot today. I mean, Birdie, certainly a very proficient player in his own right, but Chemko has been exceptional throughout. He's managed to hold every one of these so well, managing to come through with a very clean victory at the end there. Seems Ignite has to actually reset there. He doesn't even manage to pick up the 2nd place. Ignite and this water, man, has not been a good combination. And I mean, fittingly so, considering his name.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I was spectating him and I was looking. I feel like he could have gone for it, you know, at that point. It's like no real reason to not go for it. But I feel like his judgment, of course, is best. And I feel like he... Oh, and Ignite hits the sign now as well. His judgment on there was probably that he was not going to make that jump. But again, it's a 9-4 scoreline. And with everything aside, Molotov Gaming needs 2 aces to get a track point here. And I don't know, I'm not a sightseer of anything, a fortune teller, but I'm going to now stop talking. You can take over now. Chemko absolutely dead there, and Ignite actually is taking him, and Birdie is the one to still hold the flag.
I mean, the Caster's Curse is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, so we need to be responsible for that right now. Chemko completely out there. Birdie is the one who has to be able to try and hold this. We have seen him have his moments of doubt at the end. Whether he gives it away now would really differentiate. Unfortunately, Ignite not able to come back this time. Birdie still going to be able to secure that 2nd place. That means the 1 point that Foot needed to secure this is in the bag. It is going to be a 10-6 scoreline. Molotov, they were there. They challenged for a good number of attempts, but they just didn't have the consistency or that pace. Chemko leading the charge too often meant that Molotov having to push themselves to breaking points, and they don't manage to keep on their winning streak. It goes back towards Foot, who now lead the series 2-1.
Yeah, and we go on to Vortex of all maps as well. I mean, overall, Birdie took that identity probably the most safest he's ever taken, that he slowed them so much down that he probably could have almost hit the inside of that turn when he was taking it. But he knew that probably maybe his teammate checked the splits as well and would say that, yeah, you got enough of a gap. Just don't try to go for world record. We only need 1 point. But here they need 10 points to get the next track point. So Vortex, where do we go on this map? It is Molotov Gaming's pick, so anything's possible. We've seen things happen, but again, you gotta keep the factor in mind that Foot Esports generally fast on every map.
I mean, it's still very interesting to me that this is a Molotov pick. They've struggled throughout it, both of the players. You know, Ignite doesn't like these players, but maybe this is just a counter pick versus Foot. I mean, Foot, they're both struggling up that hill, and it means that Molotov into 1st place. Huzo up there, and Ignite sitting just behind them. A check on the wall sends Birdie. It's crashing down into 4th. It's up to Chemko, or it's up to someone falling off of these pipes, and we've seen it happen time and time again. It'll be interesting, and I think Molotov would desperately like to hold it. Yeah, start this off with an ace, but it means that they both have to make it through. It is Huzo, he's out!
Oh, but that means it's gonna be a draw on the board. God forbid. All of those rounds that look like an ace, it just does not happen. It's literally the first round. If there's ever a draw position in the first round that looks so clear between teams that are close, it's just like, nope. The god Hillis himself is wishes upon a draw. No ace for you, ladies and gentlemen, and we get another draw to start us off. But that would have been a perfect start for Molotov Gaming. But again, you take what you can, and I mean, of course it's not over until the fat lady sings. But for now, at least, it looks like Huso is so far behind that it's Ignite to hopefully pull out another draw.
Ignite, man, it always comes down onto his shoulders, and he's going to have to do well here. I mean, he is also the one who's been plagued the most by these identities. And so, unfortunately, Molotov not off to the start that they wanted. As long as they can stop this one being an ace as well, I think that they will be happy. In fact, they're looking for more than just an ace. They would like to have this as a draw. Tmwt dropping all the way down there. And Ignite looking quite powerful in front of Birdie. Birdie really struggling at any stage to be able to stop this. Comes down to our final pipe. Ignite makes it through the first, through the second, through the third. Gonna be across there. Birdie has one more opportunity. We've seen these high lines from him before, and he uses it to get that extra bit of speed. It is going to be victory for Foot.
Yeah, that high line, that extra speed is just enough on this map. That end is just long enough to make good use of that speed, and Birdie is a connoisseur of that. Definitely in the full speed, well, in the grass full speed community, but there is a Huso having a rough respawn. So again, Ignite, well, he hopes that one of the Foot Esports members misses the quad pipe, but they don't. So now Ignite really has to push again to get some more points out of this. It is a 1-point gap, but now he's the only man to really deny them, and the Birdie, he's been there and he's really trying to push Ignite as well, and I mean, last round he absolutely roasted him, which should be something Molotov Gaming should have in their repertoire.
I mean, Ignite has the fire inside him. You can see it by how he pushes each of them, but it just fizzles a little bit at the end. Comes down to ashes, and like a Phoenix, he's going to have to try and reignite himself towards this. He's currently sitting in third position. No hope for Huso to be able to come back into this. Tmwt slows down actually into the identity, giving Ignite that little bit of an extra pass. Birdie, though, looks so good in this final section. A very small chance for Ignite to come back, but at least does secure 1 point on the board.
Yeah, it is sort of the, you avoid the worst case scenario. You take the best out of a worst situation. And they do get nice flip, Huso. They do get a point on the board, and it is 5-3. It is a close affair still, but it has been a case where, again, it's Huso has been having sort of like an up and down series. Some maps he's absolutely nailing and putting Foot Esports to the board, but now on Vortex, again, having a bit of a rougher time. But if there's anything we've seen, Huso has been sometimes the key pivotal point to bring the Molotov Gaming the points. Ignite is the wall, but Huso is the man to mount. Now, I can't really say that. I was about to say like mount the defense on the wall, but that, never mind. We move on to this round. Take it away, Ultra.
I'm with you though. Like, Huso seems to be pushing the limit just that little bit more. Like, now we see him in that first place, and that's what it's going to take against someone like Tmwt. Tmwt has been doing so well to be able to get that extra bit of pace. You've got to have someone challenging him, and so Huso plays a little bit more risky, and sometimes it costs him. Sometimes he goes out. Sometimes he hits the walls a little bit harder. But when he gets it right, he looks good, and now he's looking great. As long as he can get through this identity, he gets through the first two little bits, he seems to be holding that first position. Tmwt is sitting in second, but Huso, when he gets it right, he secures the points. Unfortunately, Ignite, once more, being plagued by that identity, drops it down to fourth place. He was sitting in third and would have given Molotov that 1 point back into the match that they needed, but it sets up for just a 6-4.
Yeah, but that is exactly what you want from Huso. He has it in him. He can be as fast as his teammate, and he has those glimpses of it as well. If only it could be every single round, but of course, I mean, you would love to drive your own PB every single round if it was a miracle and a great, perfect utopia world. But, you gotta adapt where it comes, but still, it's a good sign. But Ignite now is the one that has having some troubles on the map, and it's now Huso, so they literally are role swapping as we go along. So it's now Huso to deny Foot Esports the points.
Man, again, it just feels like Molotov being pushed slightly further than what they can handle most of the time, and there's always a casualty somewhere along the map, where this time Huso going to be again the one to have to try and fight it out. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the lead like he did previously against Tmwt. Tmwt goes off, and that provides so much here. Huso manages to hold it the whole way through. Tmwt goes back on before Ignite can manage to rejoin the fight, but it is once more Molotov going to have to settle for a tie. Better than what they were setting themselves up, though, before Tmwt fell off.
Yeah, but then you think, of course, what if Ignite wouldn't have made mistake? What if he had that clean round? Then you would be looking at pretty much a draw on the scoreboard, or actually Molotov Gaming maybe even in the lead, to be honest, given the point distribution. So again, you have those what ifs, but it only goes to prove that Molotov Gaming are not out of it yet. They can do it. They just need those few rounds to come together the way they want it to go, and then they have the perfect formula to beat Foot Esports, even on Vortex, which is a map that the Molotov Gaming have not enjoyed the most comfort with against Foot Esports, but definitely not out of it, as we see that this is a round where everybody is coming through cleanly, and it is a tie affair, and it is Huso, Tmwt, and even Ignite on the chopping block here, and everybody's just going for it at this point.
Huso takes a very fine lead here, and Tmwt managing to fight it out neck and neck. Unfortunately, Ignite cannot afford to give away any sort of ace towards Foot. That would clinch it for them. Everyone threw the identity as well. Tmwt still in that first position, and Ignite, as long as he can hold this, does at least keep it to a draw. But what a tight round. Certainly the cleanest round so far that we've seen.
Yeah, that is as clean cut as you're gonna get. The only difference is really just in the execution of the map, as Birdie actually somehow survives that, but now they have a bit of an awkward start for Foot Esports, and they find themselves in a probably the best position they've ever had on this map so far now. But again, what we've said before, Foot Esports always have one member, but Huso touches the wall, allowing Tmwt to get back into the mix, and now Ignite is the one up in first position. So can he hold on to it? I mean, ideally, Molotov Gaming would really love to get an ace here just to put the more pressure or a victory, but Foot Esports need the victory just to secure the track point.
Man, an ace would be such a different story coming out there, but with Huso struggling against a couple of these walls, he's still in it enough that if someone from Foot does put themselves off of the identity, Molotov can stick in this. But Foot, first and second place. A win, a victory would secure them this map. An ace would secure them this map. And they're setting themselves up. Birdie and Tmwt, teammates in hands, hold it through to the very end. And that is going to be the third point coming out for Foot.
Yeah, that, again, it feels like a story of many things for Molotov Gaming. Again, one of those maps where I feel like if one or the other thing could have gone the other way, we would be seeing a completely different scoreline, I would say. But, you know, you can the hindsight is 2020. I mean, us casters can say as much as we want. This is the scoreline that is on the board, 11-6. And we move on to Grip as our next map. And it is track number 5. I know number 5 does exist. I know we haven't deleted it from the UI. It does exist. So for the first time for this entire tournament, well, not entire tournament, for this
weekend at least.
For today, for today is the first time we see map 5. So I mean, I'm all for it, and if anything, you never know, maybe map 7 as well, or map 6 at least, to get us going.
I mean, the options have been there, right? Molotov have just not taken every opportunity that they had. Look how many times they were actually setting themselves up for an ace, even in the first round. And, I mean, they nearly did that there on Vortex. They nearly had themselves the ace at the very beginning, and that would have changed everything. Unfortunately, now they're off to a horrible start once more on Grip. Ignite takes a little bit of a chunk out of the archway there and puts himself back. Huso also, I didn't see exactly how he took himself out, but 5 seconds behind are each of these players, and it takes all the pressure off of Foot. They don't have to worry about the identity at all. They just need to keep themselves in it. Birdie flirting with that outside edge a little bit, but manages to just slow himself down, keep his patience going, and Chemko leads the lead for the first ace here on Foot's potentially last map.
Yeah, it is looking already really good for Foot Esports side, but I really love to point this out that last time when Molotov Gaming were on this map against Split Academy, like Huso in the end absolutely stepped up for the teams, and I feel like this is another opportunity to do so as well and put some pressure on as well. I'm sure Foot Esports love the ace here, but they gotta get something more going than that, of course, as we've seen that no lead in the end can be ever so comfortable, and with Molotov Gaming still looking to get something going, I mean, it's anybody's game still.
Yeah, we see them looking very comfortable now. Molotov crowding around Chemko. Chemko has to be completely proficient in this, more than proficient. He has to be exceptional to be able to hold off this challenge that's right on his tail. You can see just hundredths of a second in it between these two. And in fact, Molotov going to take a very slight lead as we go halfway through, go into the first of the identities. That outside edge, Chemko cannot afford to push too hard and give it away, but he's going to need to charge a little bit harder there. He's managed to isolate off that first part on 2 wheels, the last one.
Goodness.
That is a man pushing his limits, and that's what it takes to come in first.
Oh my god, that's a round and a half. I mean, it was a perfect a camera point of view from Birdie's car, and it was Chemko absolutely pushed that identity to the very limits. And we see Huso again. It's the second time that has happened that he has missed a checkpoint or had a start moment there. So it does put Ignite in a bit of a tricky pickle as to he needs to now get first position, but with that line he's gonna sacrifice a lot of speed. But Birdie hits the line. I don't know, Huso, well, does catch up to him, but it's gonna be a 1v1 up front between Chemko and Ignite once again. I mean, an iconic duo at this point. They really love to battle it out in the front, but can they actually get it done towards the end? Well, Chemko had the balls of steel to push this identity. I don't know if he's gonna do it again. This time maybe has a bit more of a gap now and a bit easier, but you do see that wheel lift off a bit, but that is enough to take that victory. And with Birdie right in front of Huso, they do take the victory for this round. 6-2 the scoreline, and there it is. It is a 4-point gap, but everything to still play for us. We've seen there is the potential is there, but as long as Huso gets past the start, that's where the fun begins.
Just the starting of a race always the hardest part, but it's so amazing. And again, I feel like the scoreline not going to tell the complete story of what this has been. I mean, the fact there Ignites unfortunately double checks himself out of this right now and basically just gives up for the map. A frustration definitely, and Huso also going to be finding himself struggling on this map. I feel like that there were moments here. The fact that Chemko managed to get that first point and hold it to a draw, considering both of his opponents were less than 200ths of a second behind him, is an incredible testament to how close these teams can get when they are both running at full capacity. Foot just being the more consistent players between them, and Chemko leading the field on so many of these maps. This time Birdie going to be able to come through at the end, but regardless, it is an ace for Foot and puts Molotov in a desperate situation despite how hard they've worked.
Yeah, it is now the bells are ringing in the church at the moment, as 9-2 is the scoreline. Molotov Gaming, they need to get 3 aces in a row just to win this match. Or, well, I say or, you get 2 aces and a victory to go to overtime. So, you know, it doesn't look absolutely the worst case scenario. You can still slide in a victory there. But you do need 2 aces to start off, so if anything,
easy, right?
It's the best part to start. They are neck and neck, all of them, but they really need to. But Ignite touches the wall, and that could be the nail in the coffin unless, I don't know, both of them fall off the identity. Well, we'll see, I guess.
I mean, they're not even being pushed on this identity. There is so much time behind them. There's no need to throw your throttle full way. And we've seen Chemko on 2 wheels. That it only had to happen once today to prove just how good of car control he has. But eventually, just to really clinch it out in an emphatic fashion, Foot going to be able to take the ace, take the match, and take this series 4-1. It is a very standard scoreline between these two teams. But what an enjoyable journey it has been to take us to this point.
Yeah, I mean, still, like, it was still an exciting match, and I know that everybody would have loved to see a 7-map affair. There was possibilities for that. I feel like this match, again, produced something that we have seen in the other matches as well, that the possibilities for more than 4 maps have been almost in every single match today. And today, I mean, of course, Foot Esports, another win on the board. They just keep getting the W's in the regionals so far. Flawless in their execution. 3 from the last stage, 2 from this one now. They're looking to keep that train riding. All aboard the Foot Esports train. Choo choo!
I mean, they deserve their fans, right? They are dominating this region. They are competitive on the world stage. I think they're the best ambassadors that this region has for being able to go and to everything from the wild cards to the international competitions. They would love to make their way up to challenges. And I would definitely suggest that they are worthy of that sort of title. Give them that big stage to work on and start progressing even more, and certainly paving a way for the rest of the regions. Molotov, you can see how close behind them they are constantly there. They're learning a little bit more. They're maybe being inspired by the Foot players. Obviously, all of them coming out from Turkey. And I would love to personally think, a little dream that they get together every so often for a drink or a meal together, just to talk about the amazing sport that they get to play together. And then, of course, a big shout out has to go to the other teams that are coming in position. We did get to see Split Academy managing to fight it out valiantly a couple of times. And oh man, Control was the exciting point for every one of these clashes.
Yeah, it has been, and for Molotov Gaming, it is the light in the shining star today as well for them. I mean, they had some of the most exhilarating matches on them, and to end it off today, like the positives, they pushed Foot Esports on several occasions, and they did take a map off them. But so far, Foot Esports still holds strong, and I mean, if today hasn't been exciting for you today, I don't know whatever has been. We've had some of the most exciting matches, even if they've been 4-0s. They've been some of the most exciting 4-0s we've ever had to cast on this stream. I mean, I had a blast here, and I'm sure you did as well. And hopefully the chat as well. Like, that is also important. Like, everybody came here to enjoy the match, and I hope we gave it the true justice that it deserved.
It has been a pleasure, I must admit. I'm sure you guys have enjoyed the weekend's worth of Trackmania. We, of course, still have one more regional here in Stage 2. That's going to be coming up in just a couple of weeks. I don't actually have the dates on me just on hand. I'll have to check that for you guys in a second. But
either way, once Ultrasum gets the calendar open, I will say,
10th of June.
Oh, there you
9th
go.
and 10th of June, okay, right? So it's roughly about 2 weeks from here today. We got 2 weeks. Go and relax. Go and enjoy all the other regions. But this has certainly inspired me for what the action could be in a couple.
Yeah, okay. But we are holding up a very important part. Challenger League is waiting for us. Don't go far. They have still 3 matches to go. And NCSA at the top of that as well. We are going to sign off right here, right quick. It's going to be a quick one. Enjoy your day. And enjoy the rest of the matches for today. Goodbye.
Bye.